Hello, my name is Marcus Ruiz-Evans, president of Yes California since 2017, and this is the second of a series of Yes California sponsored debates featuring candidates who may possibly lead the nation state of California, a very large economy and a very large place. The recall election will be coming, and we are hosting a series of debates featuring up to 13 of the different recall candidates, and we are trying to reach out to all of them. It will be a series of debates. This is the first one. For today, the candidates who have agreed to appear and debate will be Nicholas Wildstar, Chauncey Slim Killens, Hilary Fuji Shiota, Louis Marinelli, Adam Papagun, James C. Hennig, Carla L. Canada, and Dan Kapelovitz. I will begin with the introduction, and then we will hear from the candidates directly in just a few minutes as they start streaming in. 1 second, let me take a look at comments. Yeshua says, thanks for hosting this. Hey, that's why Yes California does this, to get the information out to the public. So let me go right into the introductory speech. Welcome all Californians and friends to the second Yes California Recall Candidates Debate. I'm your moderator for the debate, Marcus Ruiz-Evans, president of Yes California since 2017. I have appeared discussing California issues in publications such as the Washington Post and the San Francisco Chronicle, San Jose Mercury, and I've also appeared on TV with Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham, in addition to other Fox News hosts, but I've also been on The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, and I've also been featured on The Rachel Maddow Show. Welcome every Californian and friends of California to a very special event, something you won't see anywhere else, the Recall Candidates Debate. At Yes California, we are fortunate to have such a wide selection of Californians here to take on that most sacred of duty, running for public office. It is because the citizens could leave their farms and run for office when the crops were harvested that made America a beautiful democracy, such as the Greeks said. That was what Alexis de Tocqueville said about America in the 1800s. Citizens running for office equals being chosen amongst equals as the exalted leader, and yet only for a certain amount of time. That is the democracy the ancient Greeks created and sought, and it is still one that we Californians hold dear. The candidates for today, the citizens from California you will hear about, are Nicholas Wildstar, Chauncey Slim Killens. There's Nick. The candidates today are Nicholas Wildstar, Chauncey Killens, Hilary Fuji Shiota, Louis Marinelli, Armando Perez Serrano could not make it today, Adam Papagun, James G. Hennig, a professor, Carla L. Canada, and Dan Kapelovitz. In March, Yes California interviewed the candidates Dakota Vaughn and Grover Colthorpe. And in the near future, we hope to bring you an interview with Jenny Ray LaRue. 1 second. Hey, we're live. Can you come into the stream?
Everybody is waiting for it to start.
Okay, well it has started. It's live. All you have to do is click the StreamYard link, and I'll let you in.
That's what I was saying, Marcus.
But I'm sitting here to chat with Mr. Hennig, Mr. Fuji.
Okay.
They're all wondering when we're starting.
Okay, I am not sure what's going on.
Do you have any candidates there?
I have two candidates here. If everybody clicks the link, it should bring them in. Is that not what's going on?
I have the chat box here with Mr. Hennig and Mr. Fuji.
Okay.
Also, Dan Kapelovitz is wondering when things are going to get going.
Okay. Let me.
Who do you have on your link?
Nicholas Wildstar and Jane and Mr. Killens. Let me text you the link directly.
So that makes the two different links then, because some people wanted one and the other ones have done the other.
Not to my knowledge, but give me 1 second. Here, let me post this directly.
I don't have Wildstar here, but
okay.
Here we have Fuji and Hennig and Marinelli.
Fair enough.
The backstage.
Okay. So give me 1 second, trying to do my best. So I just posted to the WhatsApp, the StreamYard link. If they click that link, they should be able to join.
I clicked that link that you provided, and I'm here with 3 of the other candidates.
Okay. I apologize. We're having some technical difficulties. Apparently, the StreamYard link is bringing people into two separate studios. I am not sure what that is or how to fix that. Okay.
Also, the YouTube hasn't started either. The YouTube stream hasn't started.
Yes, it has.
Okay. All I can think of is I'm going to exit the studio. I will come back in. I don't know why this is happening. Technically, if you click that StreamYard link, you should be able to go into the studio.
Can I say something?
Yes, Nick, please.
All right. The live link is on YouTube. If you click the link I just sent you in the private chat, if you send that to the candidates, it should work. I was looking for it too. I had the same issue. So that's the actual link.
Okay, let me do that right
now.
No. All right. Whoops, didn't do that. Okay, this is, of course. All right. 1 second. Let me email everyone this link, and we'll go from there. Yes. I'm working to.
Now I can see you in the StreamYard, but it says scheduled. And that's all I see is that you were talking, and it says scheduled.
Okay. Let me exit the studio, and I will come back in.
Once you click the new link, it should be good to go. That's how I found you. I had to look through the email. There's another StreamYard link, studio link.
Okay.
So this one is. So if you could just send that one out to all of the candidates, they'll be able to join us.
Louis, I'm going to email you a new link, and hopefully that works. By the way, for the record, I sent the link. We tested it 15 different times. It worked. So I apologize to everybody. I'm sending a new link right now as fast as I possibly can. And hopefully we'll get this up and working. I did send out the right link. We did test it, and I apologize for any confusion.
No problem. Being a problem solver is what I do.
Yeah, but it's also like, why practice if you're just going to have problems? I mean, why work hard to get the links out, go over it, make sure everybody has it, double test it if this is what happens on the day. So, all right. Let me double check and make sure. Adam was sent the new link. Dan was sent the new link. Lottie was sent the new link. Louis was sent the new link. Chauncey has it. Louis Marinelli. Please click and. I'm sorry, folks. We will get this straightened out as we have. Okay, why is that? Okay, 1 second. Hi, James. I'm going to email you a new link. I need you to click on that one. Okay, sorry. Apologies. Okay. Sorry about that. 1 second. Let me end that. Okay, so Chauncey is here. James C. Panic is here.
We're going to have everybody.
Papadon, David Kapelovitz, Louis Marinelli. The only person we're missing is Carla L. Canada. Let me make sure that she got a link.
I'm getting horrible feedback. Is everybody else?
Yeah, me too.
1 second. Okay. Thank you all for being here. I apologize for the technical difficulties. If you are on another StreamYard account because of that link, please disconnect that separate account. Someone right now is linked into the other StreamYard account, so I need you to just have this StreamYard activated If you also have YouTube activated, if you could deactivate that. So if you could have on your computer screen only this StreamYard link, no YouTube, no other StreamYard.
There's a lot of that coming.
Okay, well that's
The only
Chirpy noise.
so I apologize. Someone still has the link feeding through, so it's getting reverb, so I've muted everybody. I will unmute you when it's your time to speak. I apologize. Thank you again for all being here. I apologize for the technical difficulties. We did send out the right link. Technology, folks, huh? Works great when it works great. So let me begin, and we will start. This will be the actual beginning. I'm going to start with the commercial. I'll come in and do the introduction so that everybody can hear the whole thing as it was meant to be. 1 second. Thank you all for being here. This is the second Yes California Recall Candidates debate. We have many great candidates for you. Nicholas Wildstar, Chauncey Slim Killens, Hilary Fuji-Shiora, Louis Marinelli, Adam Papagon, James G. Hannick, Carla L. Canada, and Dan Kapelovitz have agreed to be here. We are having some technical difficulties, and if we are not able to field all the candidates today, that's why we're having a series, and we'll make sure everybody gets an equal opportunity to be heard. Let me start with the introductions and the format for today's debate. Welcome all Californians and friends to the second Yes California Recall Candidates debate. I'm your moderator for the debate, Marcus Ruiz-Evans, president of YesCalifornia.org for the last 3 years. I've appeared discussing California political issues in publications such as the Washington Post, San Francisco Chronicle, San Jose Mercury. I've been on the Laura Ingraham Show, The Daily Show with Trevor Noah. I've also been featured on the Rachel Maddow Show. And of course, I've debated aggressively Tucker Carlson, and we didn't agree. Welcome every Californian and friends of California to a very special event, something you won't see anywhere else. At Yes California, we are fortunate to have such a wide selection of Californians here to take on that most sacred of duty, running for office. It quotes, "It is because the citizens could leave their farms and run for office when the crops were harvested that made America a beacon of democracy." That was spoken by Alexis de Tocqueville, the Frenchman who toured America in the 1800s and talked about why it worked. Citizens running for office, equals being chosen amongst other equals as the exalted leader, but only for a limited amount of period. That is the democracy the Greeks saw, and 2,000 years later, it's what we Californians hold as one of our dear values. The candidates or California citizens you will hear from tonight include Nicholas Wildstar, Chauncey Slim Killens, Hilary Fuji-Shiora, Louis Marinelli, Armando Perez Serrato could not make it tonight, Adam Papagon, James G. Hannick, Carla L. Canada, and Dan Kapelovitz. In March, Yes California interviewed the candidates Dakota Vaughn and Grover Calthorpe. And in the near future, we will be bringing you an interview with Jenny Ray LaRue. All of the candidates participating are registered candidates. They went through the process and filed the forms. Yes California invited all registered candidates to be part of this debate. If you are not included and are registered, that was in error, and please bring it to our immediate attention. Email me, marcus.ruiz.evans@gmail.com, and we will fix that right away. If you are registered, we believe that you have the right to be heard. Now, today's format has been slightly modified from the original format. That was to include more interest in people participating. It's going to start with an introduction. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes. That's 2 minutes. 2 minutes only for each candidate to introduce themselves. They can say whatever they want, introduce themselves however they want, a full 2 minutes. After that, we'll start the first of 4 questions. A question will be asked. Every candidate will have 1.5 minutes to answer that question however they want. It will not be edited. They will not be interrupted. Whatever they say will be streamed live to the world exactly how they want to say it. So we'll do introductions, 2 minutes each. And then you'll have the first of 4 questions. Each question is asked. You have 1.5 minutes per question to say whatever you want. Every candidate will be asked the question. Voters will hear the answer from every single candidate. After every candidate has answered that question, we will go back and allow each candidate to respond with an additional minute. They can use this additional minute to continue saying what they wanted as their original answer, or they can address the responses from other candidates. It's your choice. So there will be a question. You'll have a minute and a half. Everybody gets to answer. And then the next time you'll have a minute to respond to anybody else or continue your answer. Then we'll go to the second question. Nobody will be interrupted. Everybody will be able to speak. Nothing they say will be altered or edited and is live streamed to ensure transparency. Before we get to the candidates, though, you need to know something very important. Why is this recall debate important? Why are we here? Why should you care? Well, there's a big reason. I'm going to go over some studies and some statistics. I'll cover them very fast, but I'll make sure you get the conclusion. So let me just rattle off some numbers, but I'm going to make sure why it's clear. May 25th, the Public Policy Institute of California, the top think tank of the California government, did a survey of California likely voters on how they felt about the recall. 40% of likely voters said they would vote yes to remove Newsom. 57% said they would vote no to remove Newsom. And 54% of voters said they approve of Governor Newsom. But here's where it gets interesting. That exact same survey on May 25th, the most recent, most credible one, also asked people this question. If Governor Newsom was removed from office, would it be bad or good? 29% of Californians say Governor Newsom being removed would get things made better. 34% of California voters said Governor Newsom being removed would definitely make things worse. 28% said it would make no difference, and 8% said they don't know. What that means is that only 34% of voters said that removing Governor Newsom would definitely be bad. You're going to hear in the news a lot of surveys saying, wow, there's so much support for the governor, there's so much support against the recall, perhaps. But when they also asked, would you care if Newsom was removed? Only a third of Californians said yes, meaning about 70% of Californians were okay if Newsom was removed. That's from May 25th, the Public Policy Institute. Now, the May 11th, UC Berkeley Institute of Government Studies was the other major survey. And they found California voters, about 36% supported the recall, and 49% were against it, with 15% undecided. What's interesting is that these two surveys show in the month of May, we went from 40% support opposing the recall to 49% opposing the recall. But the amount of supporters for the recall also grew. And the percentage difference of people who are for the recall and against it is only 10 percentage points. What you're not going to hear in the news is that the recall supporters are only slightly smaller than the recall opposers. You're also not going to hear that Governor Newsom has barely over half of the support of the population. You're not going to hear that 2/3 of likely voters said they wouldn't mind if Governor Newsom would be removed. What you're going to hear is that there's more people opposing the recall and a majority of voters support Newsom. And those are technically true. But it's only 10 percentage points more than the people who are for the recall. And Newsom had a high of 64% and has never rebounded and is somewhere at about 52% or barely over half the population. When we look at the additional factors of the fact that the California Democratic Party has admitted to NBC television this week that they are actively discouraging Democratic candidates from running for, quotes, fear it would legitimize the recall election. You have to ask yourself why. If you're so sure that California voters would never support the recall election, why are you actively making sure that it's not legitimized? Why are you actively making sure that no Democrats run? I mean, high-level California Democrats admitted that this week to NBC TV. If there's nothing to fear, why do that? We felt it's important for you to hear these answers about the recall and to make up your mind. Because at Yes California, we believe in having the most important conversation Californians can have. California is the world's 5th largest economy. It's sometimes referred to as a nation state. It is a leviathan in truth. Do people have what it takes to manage that? We're going to find out by listening to the candidates themselves. So let's begin. We're going to do a 2-minute introduction for each candidate. I will be timing you. You will be able to say whatever you want. We're going to go first with Chauncey Killens because you showed up first and my mama taught me to be appreciative of being prompt. So Chauncey Killens, for 2 minutes and 2 minutes only, please introduce yourself and I will start the clock now and unmute you. Chauncey Killens.
Thank you, Marcus. Yes, my name is Chauncey Slim Killens. I'm running for governor of California, and if there's a fair election, I believe I'll be elected. And that'll be we the people. With your help, I will become the people's governor of California. Over the last year or so, I've been raised in California. And over the last year or so, I was appalled by the things that were happening around the country, the mayhem and chaos. And I was saying to myself, this is not America. This is not the citizenry of America. How is this happening? Why is this happening? And what can we do to change this? And it is indeed a big problem. And I believe I am not a career politician, never been in politics before, but I believe you don't have to be a career politician, because if you look at the history, it's been career politicians that have created the problems. And if it takes 40 or 50 years to try to solve a problem as a career politician, then you know that career politicians can't solve problems. Or should we say, maybe it's not their intent to solve problems, because it seems like government loves to increase the size of government. I am a capitalist. I believe that you should be able to work and earn a living, and small businesses should be open, and that's what I will support. I will defend the citizens' rights to work, lower taxes, all the things that common sense that seem to be ungraspable by politicians. And you see what Gavin Newsom has done. All the rules he forced us to do, he doesn't do himself. And the hypocrisy is appalling. And yet they care little or nothing about me and you.
I apologize. Have to stop. We're going to try to be sticklers for time to include everybody. Thank you very much. You will get more time to speak. Let's go to the next person, Nicholas Wildstar. 2 minutes, Nicholas Wildstar. Please introduce yourself. Who are you? What are you about?
Hello, everyone. I'm Nicholas Wildstar, and you are going to hear from a myriad of candidates here who propose a lot of ideas as to how to improve the state of California, and by doing so, improving your life. But the one thing that I want you to focus on the most is who would be dedicated to doing exactly that, because you have a lot of people here that may speak well and sound like they know exactly what they're talking about, but talking about action and being involved in that change and taking action yourself is another story. I'm a rapper slash activist, raptivist that's been involved in the community level for over 10 years. I've marched and protested in many rallies for different causes, spanning from police brutality to women's rights to genetically modified foods to media censorship to even the protest against a tyrannical leader that has used their position of power to prevent people from earning a living for themselves. And as a rap artist, I have successfully been an entrepreneur in making sure that my music has been made available to the world. I have a song in Scary Movie 4, which is now on Hulu, so be sure to check that out. And I was also one of the first few artists to have my music made available on music streaming platforms like Pandora and Spotify. And I've been involved as a political activist again over the past 10 years. I ran in 2014 as an independent candidate, and then again in 2022, in 2018 when I was the nominated Libertarian candidate for California governor. So you need to look no further than my life accomplishments to know why I should be elected governor of California.
We'll have to stop it there. Thank you very much. Next up will be Louis Marinelli. I'm sorry, let me unmute Louis. That's probably need to do that. Louis Marinelli. Sorry about that.
Thank you. I was hoping that you didn't start the timer before I was unmuted.
I apologize. I apologize. We have one of those things that's called a good problem, where you have a lot of participation and a lot of people want to be involved. Initially, we had a few candidates, and then it just ballooned. And so we're making a tighter ship to make sure everybody gets included, and we think it's important to go for inclusion. Louis Marinelli.
Sounds great. Thank you. Yes, my name is Louis Marinelli. I am one of the co-founders of the California Independence Movement, known as CalExit, through which this debate is being organized and sponsored. So I appreciate everyone's involvement to get your opportunity to voice your concerns and your candidacy. I believe, and I'm running on the campaign, is a very simple idea that California should become an independent country. We will, through my candidacy, achieve CalExit and secede from the Union. There are two methods by which we can pursue that goal. And through my governorship, we will use the office of the governorship to pursue that agenda, one of which is the consent of the states. And that means by achieving or acquiring the consent of a majority of the state legislatures in this country, California can receive the legal authority to secede from the Union. That legal authority is bounded and based upon the Supreme Court ruling in Texas versus White, where the Supreme Court ruled that a state cannot unilaterally secede, but it may secede with the consent of the states. Those are the words from the ruling itself, with the consent of the states. So I believe that as governor, my first and primary responsibility will be to reach out to the other states in this union and to receive permission, I guess you could say, from say 26 of them. And I believe that we can do that because more than 25, 26 states in this country voted to elect Donald Trump president 4 years ago. And if you look at the massive difference between the mentality and the culture and the political ideology of California and those 26 other states, I think that they would be very happy to see California leave this country. And so I'm running on a campaign to make California an independent country. And on day one, I will sign an executive order that will remove from the display in California state offices and on California properties, the display of the American flag. That'll be our first step. And we will use the governorship as a platform to pursue independence from the United States of America.
Thank you. Okay, next up will be James G. Hanning. 2 minutes. Let me unmute you real quick. And we can hear you. Professor Hanning.
My name is Jim Hannick. I'm from Inglewood with
I'm sorry, 1 second. Let me clear up that mic feedback. Dr. Hannick, do you have any other windows open on your laptop? You just have this one StreamYard link open?
nothing else is going.
Okay. We're getting some serious reverb, Professor. Okay, let's try there. That seemed to be okay.
How's that? A little better?
Yes.
Que bueno.
Yes.
All right.
Please, Dr. Hannick.
My name is Jim Hannick. I'm from Inglewood with 2 NFL football teams. It's become Concussion City. My wife and I just celebrated our 53rd wedding anniversary. We have 6 children, 2 of whom appreciate dad jokes. Our family, like our neighborhood, is racially diverse. Why am I running? I'm doing so to advance the platform of the American Solidarity Party. Our party is real, it's growing, it's pro-life for the whole of life. We're neither conservative nor liberal, neither capitalist nor socialist. Our party, however, is progressive in the best sense. We want to make progress toward a common good built on solidarity, subsidiarity, and economic progress. My qualifications: I'm not a politician or a policy wonk, but I do have plenty of experience. For 45 years, I've been a California resident. It's a state that once reflected the American dream and now exports a primal scream. I taught philosophy for 40 years at Loyola Marymount University. Now I'm redirected. Of late, I've been hosting the Open Door podcast and blogging for the New Oxford Review. As a philosopher, I'd like to mention two of my mentors. We all have our teachers, and that's especially so for teachers. My favorite thinkers are Elizabeth Anscombe and Jacques Maritain. I serve as the chief cook and bottle washer for the American Maritain Association. Elizabeth Anscombe, to her credit, told her employer, Cambridge University, that it ought not to honor war criminals, and that in light of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Harry Truman was just that. In later years, she participated in Operation Rescue. Jacques Maritain deftly mixed philosophy with politics and helped write the United Nations Declaration of Universal Human Rights. Even Mr. Biden is familiar with his work. I only wish that he understood it better.
Okay.
I invite you to follow my campaign. You won't find slick mailers or CTV adverts, much less hear any playlists. There won't be any. Plus, there will be no pandering to identity politics.
Okay, we'll have to. I'm sorry, we have to stop there just to give everybody fair, equal time.
Good place to stop. Good place to stop.
Okay, thank you, Professor. Okay, let's go to Dan Kapelovitz.
Yes, Dan Capella. My name's Dan Kapelovitz. I am a criminal defense attorney, and I also do animal rights work as an attorney. I defend people who have been accused of crimes related to their protesting for the rights of animals. So I have a lot of firsthand knowledge about the criminal justice system, which really needs to be drastically reformed. I may be the only candidate that's actually against the recall. I'm not in favor of the recall, but I am running because in case the recall is voted for, I believe I would be the best candidate. I think I'd be a better candidate than Newsom, but maybe I'll run against him in a real election later. But I am against the recall, but I think no offense to my honorable co-candidates, I do think I do have the best ideas. I have millions of ideas to improve California, and I love to implement them. So basically, I did look into the whole Cal exit thing. I investigated it. For one thing, it's not going to happen. You need 2/3 of the Senate and the House, and then you need 38 states to approve it. Sure, there might be some Trump favorable states that would love to get rid of us. But the problem is, even if it did happen, it would just make the rest of America much more conservative and give a boost to, I guess, Trumpers and Republicans, because they wouldn't have our votes, which I do want to reform. I want to get rid of the Electoral College. But what we really need to do is, if we want to make California more powerful and get the state to go with what we believe in, because we're technically, more of a progressive state, we need to maybe divide the state into 5 states. Then we'll have 10 senators. Some of them may be Republicans because they might be part of the state. Much of the state leans Republican. And that might be a better option than just leaving. And there's no way we can peacefully leave. We would actually have to arm ourselves, and it would be Civil War II, electric boogaloo.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So I'd like to point out this is a recall debate. We are here to only talk about the recall and recall candidate in the recall election. Now, some candidates are saying, hey, my platform is X, and they have the right to do that. But the debate is not an encouragement of the platform. It's simply come as you will. We will take you whoever you are. If you're registered, we'll take you. Yes, California does have its own stances, but this particular thing is a recall debate, only about the recall. Come as you will. We're not really debating the larger issues. Although, Dan, give me a call later. I love talking about it, but not for this thing. I will just point out.
I'm talking about my policy, and that's my platform, and it's not to leave the state. So that's.
I understand. I understand. Thank you. I'll just say 2 quick things real quick. Texas versus White does not say the amendment process. It does not say 2/3. Erwin Chemerinsky, who's the dean of 2 University of California law schools, said a 51% majority would do it. Additionally, David E. Carrillo, who's a constitutional scholar at the UC Berkeley, said that you cannot definitively say Texas versus White amendment. So it could mean 51%. That's the 2 top constitutional scholars in California. Additionally, the Republican Party this time ran on a platform for the first time in American history of saying California was horrible. Never in American politics has a party had its nomination convention directly aimed at a particular state, and 5 Republican governors have ran on the Don't Be California. Additionally, Fox News ran a poll on your most hated state, and it showed 65% would pick out California, so we believe the votes are there, but that's not what we're here to debate about. Thank you. Let's go to Adam Papagon. I hope I'm saying your name right. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Adam, who are you? What's this about?
Yeah, I'm Adam Papagan. I'm running for governor basically just for fun. I remember the last recall election, I was just a boy, but I thought it was very entertaining, and it's still reverberating now all these years later in really the politics of the whole country. I think that politics and government should be something that's accessible, that makes sense to people. Like anybody who would run for office and like actually have a chance of winning is obviously like out of touch with what the concerns are of regular people, which is why I think like a regular person would be better at, you know, taking a shot at some of these issues. The issues that face California, I think we can all agree on. Wildfires, the cost of living, the fact that we're almost out of water, and then of course general injustice that, you know, has plagues every society through history. So, you know, I'm here for it. I think that we should modernize politics. I don't think we should have to send in a form by mail with the wrong Secretary of State's name on it in order to get on the ballot. I think we need to, like, you know, make things normal and fun. And, you know, I'm ready. I got stickers. I don't see anybody else here with stickers. So obviously I'm in it to win it. I'm here just to explore the process, learn about it, and teach people about it. That's why I'm on TikTok doing videos and stuff, telling people about the forums, telling people about the gatekeeping, because politics is a circus. And if we call it out for being a circus, then maybe we can just start focusing on some of the actual issues that affect California.
I love it. I have to say that a lot of people have commented on your particular way of campaigning on TikTok, and a lot of people felt it was new and fresh and accessible. That's not my opinion, just something I've heard. And I like your attitude. It's about the people jumping in. It's about it being accessible. One of the things that I've always hated was whenever you got into politics, they go, well, you don't have $1 million. Well, you're actively discouraging the public from thinking they have a chance to have a real change in their government system unless they're a millionaire. That only says let the elites run everything and then sit down and buckle up. Horrible and not democracy. So great attitude. Let's get right into the debate. We're going to go again. Here are our candidates: Nicholas Wildstar, Chauncey Killens, Hilary Fuji-Shiora, I guess was not able to make it, although he said he would be here. Louis Marinelli, Adam Papagon, James Sheehanik, Carla El Canada is not able to be here, although she said she would be, and Dan Kapelovitz. To remind everybody, here is the format. We will have one question asked. Every candidate will get to spend 1.5 minutes answering it, uninterrupted. After they answer, we will go back to each candidate and they will have an additional minute to add to their statement or respond to what anyone else said. And then we will go to the second question until we get to all 4 questions, ensuring that everybody has equal time and it's not edited or chopped up in any way. 1 second. Okay, here is the first question. How would you have handled the emergency differently? We looked at a variety of questions, but given that it is a recall election, and the reason that we're principally being called in for this event, in 2003, people had the recall because of blackouts and mishandling of the infrastructure in California. That was the impetus. And whoever ran had to have a stance on that, including Schwarzenegger, who won that race at that time. Now the impetus is the pandemic. Was it handled well? Was it not handled well? The key question is, what did Governor Newsom do wrong, and how would you have done differently? We'll go in order. Let's start again with Chauncey Killens. Let me unmute you, sir. In 1.5 minutes, how would you have handled the pandemic differently?
Well, I think I would have looked at real science. The first couple of months, we weren't sure what was really going on. So I think the lockdown was appropriate until we found out more information. Once more information start coming out, we start getting mixed messages from the experts. Wear a mask, don't wear a mask, stay 6 feet, 3 feet, whatever. So the confusion by the experts added to this. And I'm saying I would have brought in not only the experts from one side, but I would have brought in experts from all over and listened to the various views, plus my own personal research on the matter. And I would have allowed adults to make the decision for themselves, especially if it's, as we've noted now, I think there's been about a little over 3 million people that have died, and we are concerned about family. We're praying for your families. But we have 7.5 billion people in the world. In 1918, there were 1.5 billion people in the world, and 50 million people died. So we have 500% more people in the world today, and 1,500% less of people dying, and we're going off the chart. We're closing down schools, closing down churches, and destroying businesses, which make the economy work. This is the wrong approach.
We'll have to stop there. Thank you. Want to make sure everybody gets a chance. Let's go to Nicholas Wildstar. Let me cue it up. Nicholas Wildstar, what would you have done differently?
Well, first, I would have shown some bravery. I mean, we're in the land of the brave, but it seems like our elected officials are focused more on fear-mongering than anything, and using scare tactics to put the people of this country in a state of subservience. So I would also, of course, focus on the facts here. I mean, how deadly is this contagion? And that hasn't been talked about. There seems to have been more focus on the amount of cases versus the amount of deaths, which has been extremely fractional. And if you were even to contract coronavirus, you have a 99% chance of surviving. So that's the information that people need to hear. So I would make sure that the people of California are well informed on all of the facts at hand regarding the contagion. And of course, no mandates. Don't force people to do anything that they don't want to do, especially if they own a business. You shouldn't be forcing them to shut down their business. You shouldn't be closing down these schools, and allow people to, again, make a decision for themselves instead of taking the executive role of making that choice for them.
Okay, perfect timing. Well, you're right on time. Excellent. Let's hear from Louis Marinelli. Let me unmute you real quick. Louis Marinelli, how would you have done things differently?
Well, I think to start off, I would have handled the situation differently by ensuring that we abide by the principle that our laws and our Constitution and our leaders exist to protect the rights of the people. Civil rights, I think, are so important, and that we should not do anything really to limit them, especially in terms of this kind of a pandemic or any other national emergencies. I think that too often in our history, we've seen national emergencies, so to speak, be used as a pretext to limit people's rights, and I don't support that. I think it's very difficult once the people, it's a population or a society, give up a certain number of rights. It's very difficult to get them back, and I think that by putting on masks or whatever the other restrictions that were put on our society during this pandemic, people were afraid of them, like Mr. Wildstar was talking about. There was a fear campaign, and so I would like to, or if I would be able to go back, I would kind of adopt the strategy that was used in during the Obama administration when there were different viruses that we were combating. There was a much more positive mood, much more positive message from the media that told us that what we could do to protect ourselves. And I think that the messaging is what I think would be changed if I was governor back in during the time of the pandemic. So I think the change of the messaging to be more positive and to respect people's civil liberties.
Thank you. Thank you. Professor Hanig, let me put your information up. Make sure you're unmuted.
I've led by personal example. In a pandemic, we're all facing the same dangers, so we all need to act to prevent the worst from happening. No special privileges. Governor Newsom did not do this, nor did Nancy Pelosi. Next comes the negligence and disrespect with which California, on Newman's watch, showed to our elderly and disabled who are under care in nursing homes. For-profit nursing facilities were already in need of serious and regular inspection. They were already shortchanging their staff. The COVID virus took a terrible and unnecessary toll in the very facilities where so many of the most vulnerable lived. Also in California, we showed a dismissive attitude, a really dismissive attitude toward houses of worship. There was a kind of secular muscle flexing. Commercial venues of every sort were given much more leeway than churches, synagogues, mosques, and temples. Some of California's Catholic cathedrals were almost entirely put off limits. The United States Supreme Court rightly vetoed Newsom's overreach, and our state is paying a hefty fine for his mistake. Now, Newsom is also complicit as governor in some seriously muddled thinking about science. Good science plays a crucial role in public health policymaking, but the slogan, "Trust the science," like many slogans, is sadly superficial. Too many of us are trying to get by on a high school science literacy level. That's a problem. Try then substituting trust the politicians or trust the generals.
We'll have to pause there. We'll have to pause. Thank you. You'll have an additional minute in just a moment. I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to be heard. Let's go to Dan Kapelovitz. Make sure you're unmuted. How would you have done things differently, Dan? What would you have done differently? Or was there anything to do differently, in your opinion, sir?
Well, it's easy, with hindsight, but I think we should have taken it more seriously. One problem what seriously affected California, I think you may need to mute someone else.
Yes, sorry.
Is that the prisons, they didn't care about the prisons. On my team, my administration, and my campaign team, I have Aristides Avgaris, who is the founder of the Radical Medical Center, which is related to the Radical Law Center. And he is my medical advisor. And he was on the front lines up in Lompoc fighting the people who got the COVID from the prisons, and the people worked there, and it spread through the community. And people just don't care about prisons. We need to end mass incarceration. That's a whole other issue. But we need to we need to really focus on exercise and health, because most people that died from COVID had other conditions that were unrelated to COVID. They weren't in shape. They weren't that. We got to really focus on that. And we got to treat it more like a war effort. We got to, like, you couldn't even get masks at first. I mean, we couldn't even get enough masks, and we couldn't even get testing. We still can't get testing. Everybody should be able to get tested because nobody wants to infect the others. So like everywhere, every McDonald's, 7-Eleven, Starbucks should have testing centers and vaccine centers. It should be easier to get vaccines, easier to get tested. And I'm not saying we should force people. We shouldn't force people to carry papers proving they've been vaccinated. But and I just think that who cares that Newsom went to some restaurant? It was a blunder. It's not a reason to recall someone. It's a little goofy. I think people need to focus on the real issues, really trying to help people and to deal with this serious pandemic.
Thank you. Thank you. Perfect. Right on time. Let's go to Adam. Let me unmute Adam real quick. And
all right. What are you always supposed to do in an emergency? You don't panic. That was our problem. I traveled a little bit during the pandemic. On the East Coast, the coverage from the media was more like, hey, this is what we all need to do to get through this together. Here, the way the media portrayed it was, Gavin Newsom says Disneyland's not allowed to open. It was so gossipy and terrible, and everyone was just so worried and scared. So what I would have done is I would have gone on my press conference and been like, hey, everybody, don't worry about it. It's under control. Your business is going to be fine. Your family's going to be fine. We're going to figure out a way to take care of you. We're not going to put on arbitrary restrictions. We're not going to sow discord and division amongst people. We're not going to make it a partisan thing. Chill out, collect some unemployment. In a few months, we'll recalibrate. We'll get through this. It's fine. Everything will be okay. The government has your back. That's not what I saw here in California. And I would not have gone to dinner at a restaurant. And I definitely would have not gone to dinner at the most expensive restaurant in the country. That's the part I think you're missing, Dan. No one else could even afford this restaurant had it been open. These are people who are out of touch. They're out of touch. Let's get regular people into politics.
Adam, it made me laugh. Wow. And I'm working hard not to do that. So shame on you.
Politics is a joke.
Shouldn't ever let the moderator laugh. Okay. Now is where it gets fun. We're going to allow everybody to respond. Every candidate will have 1 minute and only 1 minute. You can continue your response to the original question, which was, how would you handle the emergency differently? Or you can respond to something you heard from any of the other candidates as long as it's done professionally. Let's go to Chauncey Killings.
Yes, thank you very much. I think as a leader, we should be guiding the state in how to deal with emergency situations. And if you have good leadership, which I believe I would be as governor of California, I would guide the people. I would put out basic information that's understandable and reasonable and sound. And then that information I put out, I would be the one following it. I'm not going to tell other people do it and then sneak out and do other total things. And this is why I have a problem with the fact that they're talking about it's a pandemic. If it was that dangerous, Nancy Pelosi wouldn't be getting her hair done. Governor Gavin Newsom wouldn't go out with his friends, sitting closer than 6 feet apart, eating and laughing and enjoy. And then he lies on TV, says, we were outside. So if people cannot trust you, and I believe that's a significant point. If a leader cannot be trusted, then people lose faith in him. I will be a leader that can be trusted. I will be transparent. I will tell you the truth about things, and I will defend your civil liberties and your constitutional rights at all costs. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's go to Nicholas Wildstar.
Yes, well, first of all, thank you to all the other candidates for signing on to my sentiment of wanting to lead by example. Maybe I didn't package it into a soundbite like Adam did by saying don't panic, but as I said, leading by example is to pretty much not freak out, exemplament some bravery, and be courageous in dealing with the issue by focusing on the facts on the matter at hand. I would have to disagree with this guy in the Hawaiian shirt. I think his name is Dan or whatever, but the people of California, yes, Dan, I apologize. Thank you, Dan. The people of California were already demanding a recall of Gavin Newsom due to what he did before this lockdown. So his signage of AB 5, which prevented people from working as an independent contractor, his mismanaged and misappropriation of the funds collected from the overtaxation over our gas were all the reason to remove him for office.
Okay, wow, right on time.
No problem. I got a timer for that reason.
Let's go to Louis Marinelli. Louis Marinelli, 1 minute. What do you have to say, sir? Oh, sorry. No, this doesn't count to your time. Starting now, 1 minute, sir. Candidate Marinelli, how would you like to respond?
Sure. Well, sure. Thanks. I would just like to reinforce what I was talking about before. I think that it's so important that we preserve our civil liberties and protect our civil liberties from the government, because once you give them away, you're not going to get them back. And so that's the kind of the approach that I would take. You know, if you give the government or politicians a precedent where they can tell you that you have to wear masks now, what are they going to tell you that you have to wear later? You know, if you give the government the precedent that they can force vaccination on you, for example, with even a vaccine for COVID-19, you know, what kind of forced vaccination are they going to force on you down the road? And so this is the point. The point is that we don't want to set a bad precedent as a society, that we're willing to, in a time of emergency, give up our civil liberties to politicians who will then use that as a building block to further restrict your liberties in the future. And so as governor, I would take an approach that would look first and foremost at people's civil liberties and not make lockdowns, not shut down the economy, not take kids out of schools, and so on and so forth, because those are decisions that people need to make themselves, and we shouldn't be having a nanny state make those decisions for us.
Thank you. James Hennick.
Yes. I'd actually like to transfer my minute to the next question, but I guess I'm supposed to transfer the minute to the question at hand. I would just like to remind everybody of the tens of thousands of people in California that died of the COVID virus. Panic never does any good, but acting as if it didn't happen is even worse. I think that's a critical fact, and I think that a number of people have, tried their best to ignore it. And I would encourage you to try your best to grasp it and figure out what we should do about it. And clearly government has a role to play. I think clearly it overreached its role, but clearly had a role to play. Good grief.
Okay, thank you. Dan.
Yes. I'd like to respond to Mr. Wildstar. First of all, this is not a Hawaiian shirt. This is a dress shirt. It's long sleeve. It just happens to have colors on it. And also to respond to his remarks about the recall. Well, yes, people are critical of Newsom. They're critical. Anyone who elected a governor or president, immediately they were saying, impeach them, recall. So there's always, no matter who's elected, somebody wants to recall them. And I'm not saying this is very illegitimate, this recall election. That's why I'm in it. I'm not saying it's illegitimate. I'm just saying, I don't know if it's the best thing. But and I understand you're a rapper. I'm not a rapper, but I would definitely challenge you to a rap battle on these issues anytime you say, anytime or place. And to respond
it's live here at yescalifornia.org.
Yes, yeah, okay. Well, maybe in the next minute. My next thing may be in rap form. All right. And then, as responding to the other gentleman, no one's been forced to get the vaccine. So I don't know what civil liberties have been taken away. Yes, you had to wear a mask in some business establishments, and I don't know what you're worried, but they're going to make you wear next, like a clown suit, or I'm not sure what you're really concerned about. I mean, masks they have. I mean, you can believe it or not, but they actually have been effective. It turns out, it seems like. The vaccines seem to be effective. I think it seems like, yeah. I mean, no one knows anything really. It seems like, including you, including me. And the thing about with Newsom, first people are mad that everyone's getting sick, and then they're mad that things weren't open. And so, like, you can always get mad at the governor, and I'm sure when I'm governor, you're going to get mad at me, and the buck stops with me. That's fine, but that's just the way it is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Let's go to Adam Papagon.
Yeah. All right. I would actually like to take this minute to emphasize something I think the government did do well in this, which was the stimulus payments and expanding unemployment. Definitely took a lot of pressure off of me. I am a big proponent of universal basic income and reparations, basically taking the money that all the billionaires have made, giving it back to people. I got sent about $3,500 in stimulus money last year. That basically covers the filing fee for me to run for governor. So, like, that's what the government should be doing. It should be empowering people to make changes into their lives. So send us some more checks, Gavin.
Okay. All right. That completes the first question. We're going to go now to the second question. We'll do the same format. Everybody will have a minute and a half to say how they would like to respond. Then we'll go through all candidates uninterrupted. You will have an additional minute where you can continue your statement or respond to any of the other people here, whatever you want to do. So the second question is, what disagreements, if any, do you have with the way the economy is reopening? I want to say thank you to Jason Wright. He helped write this particular question. It was the right question from the right man. What disagreements, if any, do you have with the way the current governor is reopening the economy? 1.5 minutes to respond. The first person we'll go to is Mr. Chauncey Killens.
Well, I think the difficulty is the double standards. if certain businesses can be open and small businesses, which make up the majority of the country's economy, for them not to be open, and these are mom and pop shops or small businesses, and they live off of income coming in through customers, and to shut that down when the evidence does not show necessarily that they should be shut down. So there's specific measures they're taking at certain things to shut down, and I'm saying this is unjust. This is not fair. And then adults should have a right to make a decision. Should I go into that store? You can provide some guidance and stuff and some outlines, but then allow the adult men and women to decide, should I go to the hair salon and get my hair done? There's possibility of COVID here. I can make that decision myself. I'm a grown man or a grown woman. When the government overreaches, that's what we're concerned about. And that's what I think Governor Gavin Newsom has done. And it's not just this one time, there's this consistent pattern where they overreach. And that's what I'm opposed of. And that's what I will always fight against. We say we the people. We the people. We put Gavin Newsom in office. Whoever's going to vote for me is going to put me in office, and I'll listen to the people. Yes, I'll make some decisions that may be counter to the people, but overall, and this is something that the people have to approve of, not just a small group of political elites that decide for everyone else and it doesn't apply to them. That's what I would change.
Thank you. Nicholas Wildstar.
Yes, well, first off, I disagree with the delays of this administration. They had contradicted with that of the CDC, which basically said we can go ahead and remove those masks and continue to meet with our friends and family members as we did before this lockdown. But Gavin Newsom put an arbitrary date out there of June 15th, not based on science or anything else. So that definitely is problematic. Another issue is the amount of money that's being used right now, public funds, taxpayers' money being used on propping up our government and creating this universal basic income system that I didn't agree with. Adam just pointed out he got all of this money in stimulus money, and it's essentially enough to pay his filing fee. Well, I paid that, and I'm not okay with that. And I'm not okay with this governor using, again, money that could be going towards helping people and their families in need, instead of helping out these corporations like his Plump Jack Winery, which got triple P loan money instead of it going to the small businesses that it was meant for. I also have a problem with Gavin Newsom rushing to the scene and acting as if he's a savior with all of these handouts, including this vaccination lottery and him going out to clean up the neighborhoods. It's too little too late, which is why we the people will vote yes to recall him and vote Wildstar for governor.
Right on time. Perfect. Louis Marinelli.
Are you going to repeat the question?
Yes. What would you do? What disagreements do you have, of any, with the way the economy is reopening?
Sure. I'm just joking. It's just part of a standard debate when they repeat the question 100 times. But sure. I mean, my answer to this is very simple. I wouldn't have set up the lockdowns. I wouldn't have shut down the economy in order to be slowly reopening it now in the first place. I think that the reopening of the economy right now is being done for political purposes, political reasons. The stimulus check money that Mr. Wildstar was talking about, and this, taking the June 15th date, these things were all set up after the recall was basically confirmed to be qualified for the ballot. And so that points to the idea that Mr. Newsom realizes that he overstepped, that he made a lot of people upset. And so now he's doing what he can to make them happy again. So he's lifting mandates. He's sending out stimulus checks to people. These things are all relatively new. Where were they 6 months ago? Where were the stimulus checks last year and 6 months ago? All these things that he's doing now, where were they months ago? And so, to answer the question very simply is I wouldn't have done the lockdowns. I wouldn't have kept kids out of schools. I wouldn't have shut down the economy so that we wouldn't be debating about reopening it now and when we're reopening it and for what reasons we're opening it. I think that Mr. Gavin Newsom is reopening the economy now only because he feels threatened by the recall. And frankly speaking, the fact that he did shut things down, kept kids out of school, is what motivated many people to sign the recall petition in the first place. So he understands that. And that's why I think he's reopening things. It's been way too slowly because it shouldn't have happened in the first place.
Thank you. For Professor Hennig, let me unmute you.
Yes, I'm smiling now because I'm going to beat the time limit and collect some more time for later on. There's one fundamental disagreement that I have with the way Newsom is reopening things. It's that there should be more local input. Plus, this input should be transparent. It should be a matter of public record. We need to recognize that decisions, public decisions that affect us all, should be worked out from the ground level up. That's the kind of populism I support. We can only realize our full potential. We can really only become our best selves through acting. But we cannot act politically if major policy decisions are top-down in character. And what I've just applied is called the principle of subsidiarity, and it's central to the American Solidarity Party. How much extra time do I get?
You had 30 extra seconds. I'll give that to you a little bit later. So,
whoa, cool.
well, yeah, good work, man. You're crushing it.
I'm learning.
You're getting it. You're getting it. Hey, everybody learns, everybody improves. How Californian are you? Let's go to Dan. We're going to go to, let me unmute you.
Wait, we're banking unused time?
I hadn't thought about that.
I did not know that. But
I was going to go and, so I don't really have, I was going to give it to the professor just because he kept mentioning it. It wasn't a official rule. If the candidates want to do unbanked time, we can do that. I will tell you right now, I'm managing 8 people, and I'm probably not going to remember it very well if everybody jumps in on this. Does everybody want unbanked time? You can just nod your head.
Don't need it.
Okay. Then we're going to move on, and let's go to Dan. How would you, or what disagreements, if any, do you have with the way the economy is reopening?
Well, I think we should reopen it. I think people should still practice social distancing, wear masks. If you have a business and you're really an anti-vaxxer, anti-masker, go for it. Maybe we should have whole cities of anti-maskers, anti-vaxxers. They can all infect each other, lick doorknobs, do whatever they want to do. And that's fine. And then they can infect each other and try maybe not affect other people. But yeah, we can open it. I think it's safe now because of the vaccines, because of what we have been doing. And maybe when they open it, everyone's going to start getting sick again, and then they may have to close it again. And that's just the truth of the matter. And people, of course, you want to open everything. And I'm all in favor of universal income. It should be higher. It should be, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars for the people, not necessarily corporations that Mr. Wildstar is complaining about, but give it to the people. There'll be trickle up economics because people will spend the money like crazy. That'll help the corporations. And that's just all I got to say. I don't even need a bank this time. Thank you.
Okay. Let's go to Adam.
Well, I'll speak from my personal experience of working in the travel industry. We need to open this thing back up because basically every other state is open and people are spending that money there. When this is all over, I'm going to do X money in other places. I get emails all the time that's be like, hey, we want to book this trip to California, but will we have to quarantine for 2 weeks when we get there? Will we have to show our vaccination cards? People are afraid to come here, and they're not going to wait till June 15th. They're going to go on vacation to Mexico, to Las Vegas, to Florida, to places that are more fun and more open, and we're losing all of that tourism money that we've missed out on the past year and a half because of how bad the restrictions are. I went to Disney World in February. It was fine. Everyone wore masks. Everyone was able to eat at a restaurant. There was no outbreaks at Disney World. Everything was fine. These measures are draconian. That's the term that keeps getting thrown around, but it's true. It's crazy. Open the economy back up. Enough is enough.
Okay. We're going to go to the second part where everyone is allowed to have a 1-minute response to anyone else or to continue their original stance. Let's go back to Chauncey Killens. Chauncey, in 1 minute, what additional information would you like to share? Or do you have a response to anything you've heard from any other candidates on how they feel the economy of California should be opened up differently than the current governor is intending?
No, I would just say that, I oppose any draconian laws, and the states that are open seem comparative to California, which is a very large populated state. The same effects are not happening in those states. And it seems to be mainly, maybe I'm incorrect, the Democrat-ran states where a lot of this stuff is happening. They're having the most draconian and strict laws, and yet they're still having people die. And someone mentioned early, it is older people with comorbidity issues that are having these problems. People usually it doesn't mean young people or middle-aged people don't catch the virus and die, but these are rare occasions, and to shut down the whole economy because of that is cruel and unusual punishment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Nicholas Wildstar.
Yes, well, the one thing that I would not have done with regards to the money is, again, continue to support this federal banking system, the central banking system that has put the people of California and the people of this entire country deeper into debt by creating money out of thin air. It's a fiat currency, which is why as governor, I will be creating our own state currency to challenge against the Federal Reserve note so we can express some economic independence and see true buying power at work. Because we have an inflated currency right now due to them printing up this money, and we see it causing the prices of food to rise, which is going to add to a shortage, and the prices of lumber rising. So that's going to add to the housing crisis. So we need to make sure that our economy is stronger than ever before, and that's going to come with a change in monetary policy.
Okay. 1 second. Let's go to Louis Marinelli. What disagreements do you have with the way the economy is reopening, if any?
Well, I think I've already expressed my position on that matter. I wouldn't have shut down the economy in the first place in order to be slowly reopening it now for political purposes. But I'd like to take my remaining 45 seconds and just respond to something that was spoken earlier in an address to myself. You know, there was a question about this forced vaccination thing. Well, I think that in California, we've already set the precedent for that. We already have, as a society, accepted the idea that, you know, if you want to send your kids to public schools, they have to have certain whole slate of vaccines. Whether you agree with them or not, we have accepted as a society that government has the right to mandate vaccines. So I don't think it's too far-fetched of an idea to say that somewhere down the road that SB 277 could be expanded to say if you want your kids to go to university, they have to have the COVID-19 vaccine. So I think that's why I'm opposed to allowing government to set precedents. Right now we have these trial balloons out there about vaccine passports. Are we going to be a state where they say you have to have a vaccine passport to go into a restaurant, to travel? Right now it's not the case, but some states have already gone on the record saying that they're opposed to vaccine passports. I'm opposed to vaccine passports. I don't know that the current leadership in California would be opposed to vaccine passports. So that's another building block. Are we going to, as a state, say we're going to allow the state to require vaccine passports?
Okay. All right. Professor Hennig.
Yes, I've got a couple of seconds here, and I want to loop back to something earlier that takes us right into where we are. Good science does play a critical role in public health policy, but the slogan, trust the science, is superficial. Most of us are trying to get by best we can with a high school science level of literacy. And what that means in practice is trusting the science is trusting the scientists. But suppose we try substituting trust the politicians or trust the generals. If we're going to trust, we need to do some digging. The governor should have led the way in facilitating town hall meetings, which would encourage serious people to directly question public health officials. Had I attended one, I would have asked about Dr. Fauci's position on using the body parts of aborted babies in dubious research projects. Trust needs to be earned.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. I really like how you got into trust there. 1 second. Let's go to Dan. And let me pull up. Dan, what disagreements do you have or any response to any of the other candidates here today, sir?
All right, many things. Okay, so first of all, I am against vaccine passports. My medical director has been in contact with me. He suggests an immunity passport testing antibodies, but I don't know about that. I have, and my strategist, Damon Packard, he's anti-vax. So, I don't like to be surrounded by yes men. I like to get all views, but I am against the passports. But if it's true, like that, vaccines are required of like measles and, mumps, and it seems to be effective. It has been effective. I don't know anyone's gotten the mumps or the measles, and you are required to get those to go to school. And so if they could actually show that this vaccine, right now it's the early stages, really did prevent COVID, although obviously people can still get COVID. People have gotten COVID, but it seems like they haven't gotten serious effects from it if they've gotten the vaccine as much. Then maybe it should be required to go to schools. And it's easy to say, oh, I would have opened everything immediately. That's the popular thing to say. You can say, oh, there should be Coca-Cola and all the drinking fountains, but you don't know what would have happened. Maybe a lot more people would have died and gotten sick. So it's so easy to say that now, but there was a serious emergency happening, and so it's easy to say, oh yeah, just do nothing. No, don't need any vaccines. We're all free, whatever. But let's just do it how Obama did it when it wasn't as widespread during the SARS epidemic. So and then I don't know. I think I don't know if he's talking about stem cell research or what he's talking about aborted babies and stuff, but I am in favor of stem cell research. Thank you.
All right.
Well, one more thing. One thing that Fauci did that I really disagreed with is at the beginning he said that we shouldn't wear masks, and as he was lying because he did that because he didn't want people to hoard masks. He wanted the doctors to use them and stuff. So I think we need to tell the truth, no matter what it is. You have to tell the truth and tell them how it is, and let the people decide how to react to it. Don't lie to the people just because you have some weird theory of how that might help them. Tell the truth at all times. Thank you.
Thank you. Adam.
Yeah, I'll jump on that actually. That seems to be a common through line with all of this is people think the government is lying to you. The doctors are lying to you. The billionaires are lying to you. There is no trust. We can't trust anyone. We feel like the only way to actually better ourselves is by making more money. We see that that's the only way to get through. And maybe if we all had enough to live and we weren't, look, Mr. Wildstar, you're not going to like this. This is my unemployment card, my food stamp card, and my free healthcare card right here. I am on all of those things, and I need those things to survive, just to be able to put food in my mouth every day and live like somewhat of a fun, normal life. And maybe if people didn't have to struggle so hard, there wouldn't be this rush to open up the economy because everyone would have what they needed and we could just take it easy and make sure everything was safe and more people didn't have to die.
Okay. Wow.
Never. I will never get a job.
Okay. Yeah, it's getting a little excited. Great. Well, hey, the public loves action, and we want to let the public see however you want to present yourself. All right, that was the second question. We're going to move on to the third question. This one it seems interesting. So we did some recall questions. Obviously, this is about why we're all here, But now we're going to move into a way for you to showcase how you are the right leader and you're doing things and saying things and planning things no one else is. What idea do you have as a governor of the world's 5th largest economy to fix a problem that no one else is tackling? An innovative solution, the courage to handle an issue that everyone else is scared to address. We'll hear one from one on each candidate, starting with Chauncey Killens. Chauncey Killens, what idea do you have to fix a California problem that everyone else is too scared to address, or no one's even thought of this idea yet?
Well, I think first we have to be transparent. We have to be men and women of character. And although we're not perfect, we should be honest to people, even if sometimes it offends. And I think the problems here aren't as difficult to solve. Of course, someone may say that's easier said than done. But for example, with the fires that are almost happening every year in California, well, I would suggest that we'll just talk with that subject matter, is that I would call in all the chiefs, fire chiefs, the insurance companies, and we would try to, I think there's over 160,000 homeless people in California. I'm guessing about a third of them can probably work if they were given a job. So we would create a system where we can get 50,000 people to go clean out these forests all over the place based on an analysis that we would produce, whereby we would understand what are the significant areas that need to be cleared out and cleaned up, and we would hire people, maybe some of the homeless people, or the people that qualify. We would set up a system and they would interview them and work with them, and at a minimal hourly wage to go do this over a period of time. I'm saying it'll probably take up to 3 years. From up to 3 years, that'll get a large percent of the homeless off, at least those that are able-bodied working people. And then we'll have supervisors over them, and we would do a rotation where you'd work a certain period of time, then you'd have time off, then you'd work a period of time. It's a little more detailed than I have time to go in it right now, but that would be one way to stop the fires and also get the insurance companies included, because they don't want to be in California because everything costs so much, because everything is burning up.
Okay.
If we can work across the board, we could fix that.
Thank you. Nicholas Wildstar, what innovative idea you have, or what issue is being ignored that you are pioneering an innovative solution to handle, or any issue you feel people are not spending enough time on? Nicholas Wildstar.
Well, one thing you all should know is my campaign is extremely forward-thinking. It's very ambitious, and it offers stability. The one thing that we've learned from this pandemic panic is we need to make sure that our basics are covered. Like Adam pointed out, make sure that we have a roof over our head, power to have it be, available to us, and water and power. Water, power, food, and shelter. Those are the main essentials that we should be focusing on. And that's what my campaign does as governor. So if you visit my website, wildstar2022.com, you can see through my Gold New Deal, I'm offering to do that by creating a people's owned utility, where we have a state-owned utility, and a people's owned bank, where we are able to do or provide legal banking for our cannabis industry. By doing so, that would generate revenue for the state that is not taxpayer, backed money, and that would be money that we can then use for universal basic income. I'm also the only candidate that's offering to make the state of California constitutional carry by eliminating all unconstitutional gun laws. I'm offering to address homelessness by building 3D printed homes, and I'm the only candidate offering to take the job for a pay cut by reducing my own salary to $60,000 and not take a pension, and then make that a mandate for all other state employees moving forward. So please, again, visit my website, wildstar2022.com, to find out why I'm the most aggressive candidate and only candidate for governor.
Okay. All right. Let's go to, let me unmute you. Let me find the right. Louis Marinelli, what innovative idea do you have?
Have I been unmuted? I didn't see the little notification.
You are unmuted.
Okay, great.
And
Okay.
free to answer. What issue are people not looking at? What idea do you have? What stance are you courageous enough to take that perhaps others are ignoring that issue?
Well, I think that when people run for office, they often come before the voters with a slew and a slate of solutions to a variety of problems. And that's where I think that my campaign differs from typical candidates, because I'm offering one solution to fix virtually all problems in California. And that solution is for California to secede from the union. And some people may chuckle about that, but it's really the truth, because the truth of the matter is that California is paying to the United States and subsidizing the other states in this union and the American military regime tens and hundreds of billions of dollars every year, a large portion of which we don't receive back in the form of federal funding. And as a result of that, we have higher taxes in California. We have fees in California. We can lower the cost of living in California simply by keeping California's taxes in California. Why should we be paying taxes to Washington to have them redistributed to other states in this country? Many states, by the way, which don't even like California. Why should we be spending our tax dollars on supporting the bloated military budget of the United States, which is over $700 billion a year? It's more than any other country in the world, more than the top 10 countries in the world combined. And so what we're talking about in this campaign is keeping California's taxes in California. If we do that, we can reduce the cost of living in California. We can reinvest the money that we would have been spending on America's military and subsidizing the red states in this country, reinvest it in California, in our education programs, in our healthcare programs. I support a taxpayer-funded single-payer healthcare public option for California that we could pay for if California's taxes remained in California. I support things like, pre-K from the age of 3, universal pre-K from the age of 3. Which is something that we could pay for if we kept California's taxes in California. Rebuilding our infrastructure, something that we can pay for if we keep California's taxes in California. And lastly, I know you're putting time out there. Lastly, I would just say that the California State Senate announced that the cost of universal education for state colleges and universities in California was $3 billion a year. We could pay for that as well if we kept California's taxes in California.
We have a new candidate who just joined us, Carla El Canada. Carla, we're into the debate, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you the question we asked everybody else last. I'm going to ask 3 more candidates, and then I will get to you, Carla. So 3 more people are going to speak, Carla, and then we will go to you, and the question will be, what idea do you have to solve a major California issue? So I'm going to bring you right into the debate where you're at. We will get to you in about 5 minutes. Let me ask the other 3 candidates ahead of you the same question. And then, Carla, we will ask you the question, what idea do you have to solve a major California problem in about 5 minutes? Please bear with me. Thank you for joining, Carla. We're going to go now to Professor James Hannick on the same question. What innovative issue would you like to handle, or idea do you have to solve a problem?
My idea is to challenge the people of California. I want to challenge them to embrace a consistent ethics of life. First off, we should end capital punishment. This is simple enough for a start. The obvious fallibility of the criminal justice system requires this much. Second, the next step is to direct the University of California to break its ties with Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. Why? Because in the laboratory's own language, its mission is advancing nuclear weapons science and technology and minding the existing stockpiles of nuclear weapons. This mission, the care and feeding of mutual assured destruction, is in the service of state-sponsored nuclear terrorism. Call it what it is. Next comes the sorry question of encouraging the suicide of those who are facing major health problems. 2015, the legislature approved physician-assisted suicide through the End-of-Life Option Act. With this law, any competent adult resident with an illness predicted to cause death within 6 months may end his or her life with chemicals provided by a physician. We need to overturn this lethal law. We need to reject attempts to weaken its supposed safeguards. Lastly, there is the now celebrated practice of abortion. In California, we do not even bother to report abortion statistics to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. But one statistic is undisputed. Since Roe versus Wade, there have been well over 60 million legal abortions in the United States. This ghastly statistic marks a colossal moral failure. There is such a thing as common morality, a kind of basic moral compass. It tells us that it is always wrong to kill an innocent human being. But abortion is the deliberate dismembering of an innocent human being. It's a long time past to come to terms with our moral failure, and the governor should lead the way. As governor, I would call the people to account.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go to Dan Kapelovitz, and then we're going to go to Adam, and then Carla, we're going to get to you. I promise, Carla, we will get to you. 2 more people, and then Carla, we're going to get to you. Dan Kapelovitz, what issue are we not dealing with as, 1 second, what issue are we not dealing with as Californians? What problem have other leaders been too scared to address? What are you going to do to innovate and lead? Let me unmute you from the mic so you can actually answer the question. That probably helps.
All right.
Dan Kapelovitz, I apologize.
No problem. All right. So I'm going to talk about some issues: mass incarceration, animal rights, immigration. But Lewis got me thinking. Last minute, I've come up with a solution to Lewis's problem, and where we wouldn't have to secede from the union. What we should do if we want to keep our tax-paying money in California, become a tax protester state. Make the state a sanctuary state for tax protesters. Have luck coming here and trying to arrest all of California for failing to pay their federal taxes. Keep it here. We all got money. I haven't thought it out. I just came up with this like a minute ago, so I am going to have my people work on this, but that's just one answer. All right. I also want to end mass incarceration. I too am against the death penalty. I'm against lengthy, insane sentences that have no benefit. They don't deter crime. They don't do anything. People are, we got to end 3 strikes. People are in prison. It's basically a form of legalized slavery often. It's totally racist, our criminal justice system. It's unfair. Innocent people plead guilty to crimes just because they can't afford bail. So they'll plead, these are more minor crimes. They'll plead guilty some crime just to get a time served sentence. So the prosecutors say, oh, they're so dangerous, can't let them out. And then once they plead guilty, oh, they can let it get out. So we got to change the bail system. We got to decriminalize all drugs, decriminalize prostitution, decriminalize gambling. We got to stop criminalizing homelessness. Homeless people are always in court, dragged in for trespassing or all kinds of things, and it's ridiculous. They get charged for burglary because they supposedly are going to use some electricity. So that's their intent, to commit a theft while they enter an abandoned building. We got to help the homeless, not criminalize them. Animals, we got to stop factory farming, stop the cruel experimentation, stop exploiting them with entertainment. We got to eventually stop eating them. We have to stop eating animals. I don't know. I'd like to make meat illegal. I know it's going to be hard, but get on.
Thank you, Dan. Adam, let me unmute you. We'll do this whole thing, making sure, and I appreciate everyone being patient. Carla, we're going to get to you in just a second. Let's hear from Adam Papagon. What innovative idea do you have to fix California problems and show leadership to be the governor of what is essentially the world's 5th largest nation state? Adam.
All right. The cost of living in California is out of control. I went to Texas a few years ago and I felt like everything was on sale. Gas was half the price, food was half the price. Everyone I met owned a house that they lived in and had a lot of land and it was really enjoyable. And we don't have that here in California. The houses in the neighborhood where I grew up, which were like a few $100,000 20 years ago, are like $5 million now. There's no way I could ever live in West LA unless I, became governor or something like that. And that ties directly into homelessness. It's too expensive to live here, and it's a supply and demand issue. So we need more homes. Those shopping malls that sit abandoned that no one wants to go to, let's just divide those up into homes. They already have plenty of parking. They're already in neighborhoods people want to be in and want to go to. All these office buildings that are empty because people can work at home now, let's turn them into apartments. These luxury apartments that no one wants to live in because they're too expensive. Buy them out, subdivide them into economical studio apartments, 1 bedroom, whatever, rent them out for cheap. That's going to move people in these expensive apartments into these cheaper apartments, going to put more housing on the market, going to make it better for everybody.
Wow, that was really succinct. Okay. I'm impressed with the succinctness. No favoritism shown to any candidates. Now, we want to go to Carla. Now, Carla, the question for you is, what idea do you have to solve a innovative California problem? But actually, I'm going to do something a little unusual. We were not able to hear your introduction, Carla. All of the other candidates had the opportunity to present themselves for 2 minutes. So Carla, I'm going to do a little special something. You are going to be able to introduce yourself for 2 minutes, and then you will have a minute to answer the question. So 2-minute introduction, and then a 1 minute to answer the question, just to be a little bit fair, and we'll get right back on schedule, and I appreciate everybody being accommodating. So Carla, you have to unmute yourself. Okay, you're unmuted. In 2 minutes, could you introduce yourself as a candidate?
Okay.
Yes. Carla, you're running for office. Who are you? Why should people vote for you?
Okay. So, hi, my name is Carla Canada, and I should vote for me. I am a mom, a grandma, a street auntie, a native of California, Southern California, 57 years. And throughout those 57 years, I have seen many wonderful things and much deterioration. And also throughout those years, I have formulated different plans and tried to motivate others that were more equipped. And some of it has happened, some of it hasn't. And so here we are. And I am also, I'm not afraid to go against people. I told my children when I turned 50, if you ask me no questions, I'll tell you no lies. Because whatever comes out of my mouth from the next half of my life will be the truth as far as what I have it. And I'm not afraid to go up against one of the things I want to, would like to do is to take our educational system, take it apart, put it back together again. And I'm not afraid. And that is from preschool through high school. I'm not afraid to go up against the teachers union. Our teachers have been and will continue, if nobody stops them, to fail our children. That is where a lot of our homeless comes from. That's where a lot of our drug addiction comes from. That is where a lot of our hopelessness comes from. It is always nice to lower taxes. I would love to lower some taxes. What I would actually like to do is ask my secretary to take a memo to all county supervisors. I would like their budgets and their expenditures for the past 5 years. Where has the money gone? Where is the money going? And what are we getting for it? We're not getting anything for it. Half of the people wouldn't mind paying the taxes because we have the ocean on the west and the mountains on the east. That's one of the things I love about California. People wouldn't mind paying the taxes if actually we got to see a result. You know, we're paying for caviar and we're getting French fries from McDonald's. And we are truly failing our generations. And we can't say, well, look at them and what they're doing if we haven't given them the tools to do anything with. All of us had something to do when we got out of high school. Think about your family members. What do they have to do when they get out of high school? A video game or a gang member? Which one are they going to choose? I don't know. Whichever one nourishes them the most. Well, the state that they would live born in should be who is nourishing. You're welcome.
Thank you. That was both a introduction and an answer to the question of what major policy proposals does Miss Canada have to reform the California government. We thank you for your participation. We're now going to go to the second part of the third question. So just Carla, to bring you up to speed, we would ask a question. Every candidate would get a minute and a half to answer, uninterrupted. After every candidate has answered, we would then allow each candidate to respond. We're going to move to the response section, where each candidate now will have 1 minute to respond to any of the policy proposals they heard from any other candidate, or ignore all that and talk more about their own ideas. Let's go to Chauncey Killings. 1 minute, sir. Response to any policy idea you've heard, whether you like it, whether you don't like it, or if you'd like to continue talking about innovative ideas you have. And it probably helps if I unmute you.
Thank you. Yes, I agree with the doctor there regarding abortion. And what I would do as soon as I'm in office, I would do an executive order that all abortion agencies will have to conduct an ultrasound, especially in an age of scientific enlightenment, to deny this major information to the patient that comes in because you want to abort a baby, as opposed to saying, we'll do an ultrasound. And they would have to sign off on that. And if there's any foul play going on, either the clinic would be shut down, the doctor that's performing or assistant that's performing them, either will lose their license to practice. If we're going by science, we know that as a baby in the womb. You just ask two mothers. One doesn't want the baby, it's a fetus, a tissue. One wants it, it's a baby. That's stupidity. I would stop that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right. Let me unlock, and let's go to Nicholas Wildstar. A response to any of the policies you've heard about innovative issues, or a continuation of the various issues you've deeply thought about and would like to illuminate for the voters. Nicholas Wildstar.
Well, one thing is I don't feel like government should be taking any role on issues such as abortion. I think that's a privacy issue. That's a personal choice issue. I, for one, my own personal opinion on it is that I am against abortion, but I don't feel like my personal opinion should be forced upon someone else, and they should have to do something with their body or against their choice that they don't want to do. So we shouldn't be supportive of any mandate of government doing that of any kind. If they can do that with abortion, then they can do that with vaccinations. So no forceful mandates on what we should be doing with our own bodies. Also support a full audit of our government. That's actually what I've been proposing, is to let people know that on day one, as soon as I'm elected, I will be conducting a public audit, which will be completely transparent. You'll be able to go online and see what's happening real time, and this won't be done by the state auditor. This will be done by people of the public, you out there that would like to see where your money is going here in California. So my campaign focuses more on accountability and responsibility, and that starts first with the actions of the governor.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's go to 1 second here. Louis Marinelli, what response do you have to the ideas or additional information on policies you're suggesting?
Yeah, sure. So in the beginning of this meeting, I mentioned in my introduction that there were two strategies for us to pursue independence from the United States. And I spoke firstly about the consent of the states, which is something that we've been working on for many years. But there's also another path. And the other path, again, before I get into it, mentioning peaceful and legal path, because I know Dan was mentioning something about a tax haven for those who don't want to pay taxes can come to California. It's funny and everything. I know it wasn't completely serious offer, but people pay taxes automatically. Many people pay taxes automatically. They wouldn't be able to stop paying the taxes, I guess. But anyway, the other option is what we've seen happen in Europe, when we have a situation where a country, the leadership of the country basically declared its independence from another country. And then that Declaration of Independence was affirmed by its elected legislature. And then that decision was affirmed by a referendum by the people. And then those three things combined removed the legitimacy of the foreign power that held dominion over that country. And the two countries of which I speak are Norway and Sweden. And so when that happened, even if it wasn't legal according to their union, the union of these two countries at one point in time had some legal restriction on how Norway would be able to, quote unquote, secede from Sweden. They did it anyway. They did it anyway. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do it anyway. And we're going to see what the Americans do, because I don't believe that in 2021, 2022, in the age of YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter, that the American government's going to send tanks in to shoot Californians and have it be recorded on every social media platform that the world knows, and that's the whole world watch. The world will watch how America, the land of freedom, the biggest, spokesperson for democracy and human rights around the world, is going to send its tanks in from Nevada and start shooting at Californians because they want to be free, because they want to have self-determination and self-government. I don't believe it's going to happen. So let's test them. Let's see what they do.
Dan Kapelowitz, any
Yeah.
comments to any of the policies you've heard, or would you like to continue to explain some of the policy stances you were talking about earlier, sir?
Yes, I'd like to respond a little bit to Louis. Well, he said that we already pay taxes. I guess we're talking about taking money out of paychecks. Well, that you could make a law saying you don't do that. So that'd be easy to solve. And I just question the whole secession thing, because I'm not sure which, besides keeping your tax money, I'm not sure which progressive values or what values you want to be stronger, because unfortunately, if we seceded, then the rest of the United States has become much more right-wing. If we're in favor of the environment, which I'm sure most of us are, there's going to be much more anti-environment, which is going to affect the whole world, especially California. If I'm pro-life and I'm pro-choice and pro-life, which means I don't believe in having back alley abortion doctors, is what's going to happen if you outlawed abortion. So that's a pro-life position. But I'm pro-choice. And so I guess, again, that if you got rid of California, they're going to get way more conservative presidents are going to appoint pro-life candidates. So what you're really going to do is make things against the values that we supposedly have if you're progressive. Now, if you're conservative and you're right-wing, I can understand why you would want to make the rest of the country right-wing. But so I'm just against that. Now, in terms of a whole other issue I haven't mentioned, no one's mentioned immigration.
I'm sorry.
All right, you'll have to come back for how to cure the problem.
Yeah, sorry, just to be inclusive of everybody. So let's go to Professor Hannick. I apologize, Professor. Thank you for pointing out to me. And if I get anything wrong, please tell me in private chat or raise your hands. Hey, Professor Hannick, what innovative, what response in a minute do you have to all the policy proposals you heard, or on your own? And let me unmute you. You are unmuted.
All right.
Professor Hennig.
Let me add to the point about abortion. Privately supported crisis pregnancy centers have addressed the very real pressures that women who are abortion-minded face. But to their shame, our former Attorney General Javier Becerra and our former Senator Kamala Harris did their level best to shut down crisis pregnancy centers. As a governor, I would do my best to support them. Now, I might have a half a second left, so polemical point. Nicholas, you have a kind of affinity towards libertarianism, and libertarians tend to fall into something called possessive individualism. And when you apply possessive individualism to abortion, you come up with a very strange view that somehow a woman owns another body. It might very well be the body of a female. And the ownership of bodies is a bad, bad idea. And if we want to talk about, well, if you have a block against abortion, how will you prevent vaccines? The difference with a vaccine isn't designed to kill an unborn baby. That's precisely what abortion is designed to do.
Okay.
Come on.
All right. Thank you.
Come on, man.
Do I get to respond to that?
We can, but
I can be brief.
I got to give a full minute to everybody. So if you're willing to do that, we can totally do that. Let's go in order, though. So we're going to go to Adam and then Carla, and then I will give everybody an additional minute to respond. Give me 1 second. Let's go to Adam, and then we'll go to Carla, just to be fair. Adam, let me unmute you. Oh, you are unmuted? Adam, in 1 minute, what response do you have to any of the policies you've heard so far?
Something I haven't heard anyone talk about, a mainstream candidate or anyone here, is water. That's going to be the next crisis that the government gets blamed for. We've been in droughts year after year after year after year. No one seems to have a plan. Cutting down a few minutes on your shower, that's not going to do it because of how much water agriculture uses. And we need all of that water. We need the water to put out the fires. Thankfully, there's a huge ocean just a few miles from where I'm sitting right now. Now, the water is salty. But if we invest in desalinization, and the argument is always, well, it's not efficient, oh, it's too expensive. Well, we're going to figure it out. We're going to make it efficient. And then you can have enough water to grow all your palm trees, your beautiful lawn, your almond groves, all that, your swimming pool, put out the wildfires, anything you need to do. We're going to get enough water for everybody.
Nice. You are short and succinct. Okay. Carla, do you have a response to any of the policy proposals you've heard, or would you like to continue to talk about some of the ideas that you had in 1 minute? Carla L. Canada, candidate for governor.
Let me see if I can do a quick 1 minute too. In regards to abortions, we should do away with Planned Parenthood because that is just a farm for abortion. If a person needs an abortion, the doctor should be the one to say, their personal doctor should be the one to say this, whatever, make a choice and whatever. Late term abortions out automatically. Prison system, we need to tear it down. We need we need to take a look at it, tear it apart, close Chino's women's facility. They've been drinking bottled water for over 20 years now, at least 15 years. Bottled water because their local water, they can't drink it. It's brown coming out of the faucets. And secession, no. Half of California will fight you with their pitchforks. No. We are part of America. We are America. But this is California. Live in it. Enjoy it. Be happy. Be free. It's part of America.
Okay. Thank you, Carla. All right. As requested by the candidates, we're going to do an additional minute per candidate to say anything they want and respond to anyone in any way that they would like professionally. We're going to do it back in order. We're going to go with Chauncey Killens. Chauncey, an additional minute to make any comment about anything anyone has said respectfully, sir. Chauncey Killens. I probably have to unmute you. Sorry. Chauncey Killens, 1 minute. What additional responses would you like to offer, sir?
Well, again, about abortion, it is a different person, and we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Even in the womb, that is a human being. It's not a lizard, it's not a turtle, it's not a fish. So it should be protected. Its location should not make it less human and give us the right to destroy it because a law is passed. About the water, I think we should just build a dam. That would provide jobs and businesses for people to make it so water will be, I agree, water will be provided if we create a dam in California. So there's more things to talk about, but time limitations prevent me from continuing.
Thank you, Chauncey. I will remind everyone, we want to have a series of debates. And the reason that we've chopped it up into quick little bites is so that the public will watch. Typically, the public doesn't want to sit for an hour and listen to one person. They like, boom, explosion, 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 change, 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 change. So I appreciate everyone being accommodating. And the reason that we're doing this is so that more people seek you and hear what you have to say. That's why. It's to make you look better and get more people paying attention to your campaign. At Yes California, we've been getting a lot of media. We built it up from ourselves, from originally 200 people to now 160,000. Couldn't do that without learning a couple lessons. And we're applying those to make you look as good as you can to the voters. Let's move on to the next person, Nicholas Wildstar, for an additional minute. Any comments you'd like to have? Nicholas Wildstar, candidate for governor.
Sure. Well, first thing about abortion being such a hot topic issue, the main reason why we have a big problem with it is because our money is being spent on it. Okay. So whether it's, Planned Parenthood being subsidized by taxpayers or whatever the case may be, if we cut off that funding, then now it's up to that individual. And it seems like a lot of the focus about abortion is put on the woman. How about the man? I made an offer before to say, how about mandate that all boys, baby boys, have a vasectomy done at birth. That way they prevent that. That's actually a reversible procedure that could be done to reduce the amount of abortion and unwanted births. But to address both Adam and Dr. Hannick, Adam was talking about water. I was actually the only candidate on the panel that talked about creating our own people's own utility, water and power, including these atmospheric water generators, which create water out of thin air. You can find out more about this technology visiting my website, wildstar2022.com. And yes, Dr. Hannick, I am more libertarian. I was the 2018 libertarian candidate for California governor. So I will always stand true to libertarian principles, with the first fact of that being that we stand on the golden rule of life, which is treat others how you want to be treated. And I know I, as a human being, as an individual, don't want other people telling me what I should be doing with my own body. I know my wife doesn't want that, and we definitely don't want that for our son. Okay, so we should be taking a more libertarian approach when we deal with politics, and that's exactly what I'll be doing as governor of California.
Nice. Y'all are hitting stride right now. I like the interaction with each other. Let's keep it going. We're going to go to Louis Marinelli now, and I'm probably going to look at that. I actually remembered to unmute him before I called upon him. Yes, I too can learn. Please tell my mom that I did the whole event perfectly. If she calls you afterwards, lie to her. I'll get you that $5 after the show. Louis Marinelli.
Yes, I'd like to go back, of course, to the topic of the day, which is California's independence from the American Empire. There's a question out there about making, California independent all of a sudden makes America more conservative. The same America that just elected Donald Trump, the same America that with California in the Union. I mean, in 2016, elected Donald Trump with California in the Union. In 2004, elected George Bush with California in the Union. In 2000, elected George Bush with California in the Union. So America's already a conservative country, and so by California leaving that country, we allow the Americans to be conservative as they are. That's called self-governance. That's allow them to have a government that represents their values. Why should we be telling them, with our different set of values, how they need to govern themselves? And likewise, the other way around. We don't want conservative Americans telling Californians, with our different culture and our different political ideology, how we need to govern ourselves here in California. Look at, for example, the Second Amendment. I'm a supporter of the Second Amendment. Many Californians not necessarily could say the same. If you lived in a different country, you wouldn't have the Second Amendment. And Californians, if that's what they wanted to do, would be more free to in place different kinds of gun restrictions if they wanted to. That's an example. I personally am not for that. But that's just an example because I'm one person in a society of 40 million Californians, many of which would support more strict gun laws that are not permitted by the Constitution of the United States of America, but would be permitted by a constitution of an independent Republic of California that was in line with our values as Californians. And that is true on a slate of other issues as well, but I think I'm out of my time.
Okay, we're going to go to James G. Hannock. You have the ability to speak for an additional minute on any topic that you would like. And what would you like to say, Professor Hannock?
I would first of all like to bite the hand that's feeding me. And I would like to say to you, Marcus, that if we turn politics into an entertainment show, we'll never get anywhere. Politics is one of the toughest, most enduring questions there are, and we need to think hard about it. So that's biting the hand that feeds me. Next up is Nicholas's hand. I will bite the hand that challenged me. Vasectomy is a form of mutilation. Vasectomy is a form of mutilation. Why would we do that? Abortion kills a perfectly healthy, in the vast majority of cases, a perfectly healthy baby. Now, with regard to the libertarian struggle to get clear about freedom, freedom isn't just being unrestricted. Freedom is an achievement. Good friend across the street plays the piano, and she says, I'm free anytime I want to come over and play it. Problem is, I ditched all my piano lessons, so I really can't play it, even though there are no restrictions on my playing it. Freedom is, in a large measure, an achievement. It's not just a lack of restrictions.
Okay, thank you.
I still love you, though.
I think you're great too. I love you all. And call me out. If you know me, call me out. Nobody who knows me has said Marcus is like, never call him out, never ask questions. That's not me. So you want to call me out? You want to bite this hand? Here it is. By the way, I love being called out. I believe in this thing called full transparency and accountability. And a lot of people don't. And I actually live it and have done so for 12 years. Ask anybody. Okay, let's continue. We're going to go to Dan. And we unmute you, Dan.
All right. I want to respond, Professor. I can't remember the fancy word he used to describe libertarianism and possessiveness, but it sounds like the professor is the one who wants to possess women's bodies. He wants to be the owner of them and tell them what to do. Also, if you take his logic to the extreme, then, and you don't want vasectomies, then you shouldn't have birth control. And in fact, you should force everyone to procreate at all hours of the day until every single woman who is able is impregnated at all times. I mean, if you really care about life, shouldn't that be your answer? I mean, I don't agree with that. I'm just saying that is the logical conclusion of the anti-abortion mindset. Now, I want to respond to Lewis a little bit. I don't know if he's saying that Trump won the 2020 election. Are you saying that? Yes or no? Can you nod your head? Okay, so he didn't win the 2020 election. 2016 he won, but he didn't win the popular vote. This is an electoral college question, not whether the majority of America is conservative. I think the majority of America is not conservative. And if there wasn't for voter suppression and electoral college, I don't think you'd ever get a conservative president again. At the last elections, going back way back, Obama got elected twice. Al Gore won the popular vote. I mean, it's pretty rare. I don't think since Reagan, maybe, that I could be wrong, I'm sure, but or George Bush, the senior, did they win the popular vote. So that's why I just see this whole thing of making America, that will make it more conservative, because they won't have the California's electoral college, which I'm against anyway. But even if we use a non-electoral college system, it would have all of California, which does lean progressive, democratic. So it will make the rest of America more conservative. And I think that is the actual goal of the secession movement, at least some of people behind it. Maybe not you, Lewis.
Okay, we'll do an additional.
My time to respond.
I have to give everybody a sense, so we'll go around the circle. So I can't let one person do it unless everybody does. So we either agree that an additional minute, or we leave it here and go to the next question.
Let Lewis respond to me about.
Okay. All right, I'll let Lewis respond. It seems to be the thing. Lewis Marinelli.
I'm not trying to change the rule. I'm just saying that typically in debates, when you're called out by name, you get the right to respond, even if it breaks the order. So I was specifically called out by name. He didn't refer to me in abstract. He referred to me by name. So I think I have the right to respond to that. And that's all I'm saying. If we don't want to do it, we don't have to do it. What do you want to do?
Please respond.
Okay.
Please, Lewis Marinelli.
Okay.
Please respond.
California, I'm with you on the electoral college. I don't think that's a good system. So I'm with you on that. However, California, we have the electoral college, so we have to work with what we have right now. The last time that California's electoral college votes actually shifted the result of the election from one candidate to the other was 1872. Look at, for example, Donald Trump. He didn't win California. Well, he would have still won if California wasn't there. Barack Obama, he won by a margin larger than California's electoral college votes. So without California in the picture, he still would have won just by a fewer number of votes. Same thing happens with George Bush. Of course, he didn't win California. Clinton won by a margin larger than California's votes, and so on and so forth. The last time it actually shifted it from one candidate to the other was in 1872. And by the way, I'd point out, it shifted it from the Republican to the Democrat.
Okay.
I'm sorry, from the Democrat to the Republican. I'm finished.
All right. All right. Now we will go to one-offs temp.
Would Trump have won in 2020 without California? No, because Joe Biden won by a margin larger than 55 votes. Count it.
I see this being an issue, so I'm just going to answer this real quick and move on. Typically, California hasn't affected an election since 1879 by the amount of its electoral college votes. Please look into every single election. You will see that it was beyond the California percentage. Now, we do have a large amount of voters, but Trump still won in 2016, the electoral college, even with California voting against him. And Obama was named president before they counted the California votes. Don't take my word for it. Please check into it. That is a fact.
Obama had a landslide against McCain, and that was without California in the picture, it's still a landslide, just a smaller landslide.
But we're going to end that debate. So sorry, call it executive privilege. That is a dead issue now. We're moving on. We're going to let Adam Papagon speak about an additional minute of response to any of the policies that he's heard so far. Adam.
Yes. Well, something I heard somebody mention earlier, they said politics is not entertainment. Politics is absolutely entertainment. What do they say? It's show business for ugly people. It's true. The difference is that what happens in politics actually does have an implication on people's lives. So we need to look at this more, that these personalities are only in it for themselves. I've only been a politician for a few weeks, and I can tell you, no one is doing this because they want to help people. They're doing it for their own personal enrichment, or to get attention, or to be famous, and not mention any names here, or whatever. So, let's just call it out for what it is. And if we just acknowledge that everyone is just in it for their own personality, then we can actually focus on the issues, which the ones facing California are water, wildfires, homelessness, cost of living, social justice.
You're quick, dude. Okay, we're going to go to Carla. There's something held up here. I tell you what I'll do. We'll have an open-ended thing at the end of this debate, and we will just take responses from people till people get tuckered out. But after we finish the third question and then the fourth question. So we're almost done with the third. We're going to keep the commitment we made to answer the fourth question. If anybody wants to engage in this particular topic, we can do it after the fourth question. And I appreciate the passion on everyone's behalf. Okay, Carla let me find you. Carla, Canada, a minute to respond to any of the policy ideas you've heard.
Let's see. Oh my. I just keep thinking about California becoming its own country. First it was 3 different states and now a different country. Oh, come on. Just learn how to coexist. That's what California needs to do, because instead of I want it my way, everybody's all of a sudden a narcissist in California. Maybe the mental health issue is way larger than anybody ever really thought it was. It's not the people living on the streets, it's the people living in the houses. Coexist. Thank you.
Any other comments, Carla? About any other policy ideas that people
No,
suggested?
not right now. I'll save it for later.
Okay.
No, I think you said something about an open forum or, yeah.
I'll do that now. Yes, I will do that now. We're going to keep our commitment to everybody. We promised everybody an introduction of all the candidates and that you would hear from every candidate on all 4 questions. And we aim to keep our commitment at Yes California. We're going to move on to the 4th question now.
Pardon me. I thought we were just doing 3 and then a closing statement since we're at time.
Well, I'll turn it back to the candidates. Would you like to answer the 4th question, or would you like to do a closing statement and then end the debate? We'll do a show of hands.
I vote for
Answer
the
the 4th.
latter.
I'm sorry?
I said I vote for the latter.
Okay, so the options are, we'll do a show of hands. So do you want...
Marcus, can you hear me?
Sure.
Can I suggest an offer? I would suggest ask the question and then let the person speak about whatever they want to talk about for a couple minutes.
Fair enough. I have to ask the committee. So we have one candidate saying that they would like to not ask the 4th question and move to a closing statement. I have another candidate saying, let's ask the 4th question. So I'll turn it to the committee. We had planned to answer the 4th question, but we are out of time that we promised. Would the committee be willing to stay to answer the 4th question, or do you want to move to closing statements now? I will unmute you and let's see what people have to say. Chauncey, do you want to go to closing statements right now, or do you want to go to question 4 and stay around? What is your opinion, sir?
This is a minor decision to make, so whatever everybody decides is fine with me.
Okay. Nicholas, closing statements or question 4? Whatever stance you want.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. I said I would like for an opportunity to have everyone's time be respected, not only those candidates that are here on this panel, but viewers as well, since the cutoff time was 4 o'clock. So I am voting for us to conclude at this time by us providing our closing statements. And then if you'd like to open the floor to any additional comments or questions from the audience, and any candidates that are welcome to stick around and answer those are able to do so.
Okay. Louis Marinelli, closing statements or question 4?
Well, I just think it's funny that due to the time constraints is what the core of the problem is. We're going around one by one answering whether we should spend time to cut the time short. But anyway, whatever we want to do, let's ask the question and then give people time to say whatever they want to say. That's what we're doing anyway. So just ask the question and then respond whatever you want to say. That can be your closing statement.
Okay. Carla, where do you
I
stand?
close it up all at once. Yeah.
What, Carla?
That sounded like a good idea. Your answer and your closing. So
Okay.
Or
Okay. All right. Mr. Hennick? I'm sorry.
The chief reason is this. It's really important to hear what the viewers and auditors have to say.
So are you for closing statement right now or answering question 4? And you
Closing
can
statement to allow plenty of time for the audience.
Okay. Dan, how do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, just you could ask that final question, but just either you can answer it or make it your closing statement and then be done with it. I agree. We got to get this thing going. I got to I got to go out there and start helping the state. I can't waste my time here all the time. People need us.
Adam, what is your stance, sir?
Well, clearly, this is the most divisive issue of the entire debate here. But yeah, just ask a question. You can say whatever you want. That's what America's all about, right? Freedom of speech.
Okay. Seems like there's enough people saying that they're impartial and some people saying that they're okay with the closing statement / question 4. So I will turn it over to each candidate. You'll have 2 minutes. You can make a closing statement, or you can answer the last question, or do a closing statement / answering the last question. 2 minutes per candidate. Here's the last question. Again, every candidate will have the opportunity to do a closing statement or say how would they characterize the recall effort. And we're going to start with Chauncey Killens.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me on here today. Yes, I support the recall effort. I think if the people decide that's what they want, even our Declaration of Independence suggested that when officials don't listen to you, the people that put them in office, then we have to make a decision. Are we going to remove them and put people in that care about us more than themselves and their friends and family? So I support the recall effort. And and as your next governor, if we have a fair election without Dominion voter fraud machine,
It's not gold though.
I will be your next governor of California, and I will clean this place up. I don't think the problems are that difficult. They are problems, but the politicians have made these problems. They have created the homelessness. They have created the overdose of drugs. They have defunded police. It's the politicians that create the problems because they stay in office for 40 years. If a plumber came to my house for 40 years and couldn't fix the toilet, I would have stopped hiring him like 39 and a half years ago. We keep putting the same politicians on, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, and they do nothing from us because we've been abused for so long by them. They take it for granted. They are brazen about what they do. We need transparency. I have a high moral standard. I'm not perfect. You can ask my wife. But when I say something, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to move all doors and blocks to do that. I will fight for we the people. That's why I will be the people's governor. And I will defend your First Amendment rights, your Second Amendment rights, the constitutional rights, and your God-given rights. And we will push man aside. We still need law and order. Liberty, freedom does not mean no law and order. That's nonsense. Nobody can do whatever they want to do. That is nonsense. Now, some people believe that, but we still need law and order, and we should have just laws. And we have to sit at the table and discuss that. And we may fight each other, yell at each other, and scream at each other, but we should be able to come to a conclusion. And if not, we should be able to get up from the table and still be friends. I do not support critical race theory. I do not support all this nonsense. They are forcing parents to force their children to go to school and teach stuff they don't agree with. I will oppose all this. All men, black, white, red, yellow, blue, green, orange, are created equal by one God.
Thank you.
And we should respect everyone about that.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Let me pull up the queue. Nicholas Wildstar. Closing statements or answering question 4, whatever you would prefer.
Would you mind presenting the question on the screen one more time, please?
Sure. Well, how would you characterize the recall effort? What is the sentiment of California voters when they're looking at this issue?
Well, I, unlike all of the candidates here, have been involved in the collection of the signatures for the recall petition. There are even candidates that are running in the recall that didn't sign that recall petition, and like Dan happily pointed out, doesn't even support it, but yet they're willing to step in his seat, in his shoes, and take over the job. So that to me is disingenuous. I have a qualifying factor for anybody that serves we the people, is that you must be out here on the streets representing we the people, which is what I've done for over the past 10 years, is being involved on a grassroots level to improve my community. So despite what Adam believes, there are people that are seeking this position, this public position, for a genuine reason. And that is why I'm running for office, not to be famous. I could have focused on my rap career and continued to work with the record labels and celebrities that I was working with to be famous. I did not. I chose a more conscious path, which is to, again, use my voice as well as my platform as an opportunity to inform the people in my community about how we can make it better. And that's exactly why I'm running for governor. That's why we, the people of California, have made a demand to remove our governor through the recall process, which is a legal action for us to remove a sitting official when we don't like them doing their job. And that's exactly the power that we should continue to retain as people in this state. So what I would like to do is offer to the people of California a 1-year guarantee, since this next governor that takes office for this recall will only have 1 year in office before our gubernatorial election next year. So I'm providing you all with a 1-year guarantee. Take the Wild Star Challenge and go wild with me and elect Wild Star for governor. We'll take the state of California where it's never been before.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Louis Marinelli, let me unmute you.
I've been unmuted.
Okay. Closing statements and or in combination. How would you characterize the recall?
Well, I think that the recall effort is definitely justified. As it was spoken about before, there were several attempts. I think this is the 6th attempt to recall this current governor. So there's certainly a sentiment out there of people who don't like the governor and people who didn't vote for him in the first place. So I think that there's certainly a sentiment out there and reason for it to have qualified this time. That's the point I'm trying to make, is that it didn't qualify the first 5 times because it was maybe some kind of petty attempt to just try to recall the governor that was elected that you didn't like. But this time did qualify, and that means that I think that there's some legitimate cause for that. To go back to a different topic and to kind of conclude my presence here, I want to talk about something that I believe Ms. Carla said. She referred to this campaign as some kind of opposition to coexisting or something to that effect. I don't recall exactly what she said, but actually that is what this campaign is about. This campaign is about getting out of each other's hair. Obviously, in America, we have a problem. We're a dysfunctional family between the left and the right, the red states and the blue states. We need to get out of each other's hair. And that would allow for Californians, for example, and Texans, who obviously can't really live and coexist, to use your word, in the same country very well together, with all the political animosity we see in this country and the political fighting we see on the streets growing every day. If we were separate countries and we weren't in each other's hair and interfering with each other's domestic policies all the time, telling the people of Texas about, things like critical race theory, things like gun control, and the Texans weren't telling us about pro-life statements and so on and so forth. Different ideologies. Let's get out of each other's hair, and then we can coexist in North America as independent countries. And that's really one of the great benefits of this campaign, because we are trying to keep the peace in North America and avoid what could be a second civil war.
Well put. Well put. Okay, we're going to go to James Hannick. Professor Hannick, closing statements and or answering the question. Question 4. How would you characterize the recall effort, the sentiment of the voters? You can address that or add a closing statement or combine the two. And I probably need to unmute you. Sorry about that. Professor Hannick, your time starts now.
My closing statement begins with the future of the recall. How popular is it? At this point, it's something new to talk about. We'll see how the candidates maneuver and what develops here in the state. There's a lot that can happen between now and November, and expect surprises. Whether or not the recall passes, it can teach us some important lessons. One major lesson it will reinforce is that public opinion is far too easily manipulated. The Los Angeles Times offers us a case study showing just how this happens. And it's a prime example of the incoherence of the manipulators. Here are some particulars. The Times rails against income disparity, but it welcomes the money of the rich and the super rich. Check out the hot property section every Saturday. It condemns human rights violations, but it takes the money of the Chinese Communist Party. Check out the China News supplement. If you have a strong stomach, you can read the China News to just see how great life in Tibet has become and what a fine education the Muslim minorities are getting, all courtesy of the state. The Times preaches racial and ethnic diversity, which it should, but it barely pays lip service to intellectual diversity. Gosh golly, the Times even forgets its own pro-abortion line. It will call preborn human beings babies if they are killed in a car accident. So it goes with media manipulation. Let's keep our eyes and minds open.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're going to go to Dan Capellet. Dan, you could let me unmute you. You can give a closing statement, or you can answer question 4. How would you characterize the recall and the will of the voters? Or you can merge the two together in an innovative statement never before seen before. Dan Capellet.
I will go with the hybrid method. So, first of all, the recall. I really think you need to mute.
Sorry, yes, he's
Professor. I think he's shredding documents or something. All right. So, as for the recall, yes, I am against the recall. That is not disingenuous, because if the recall is approved, I am in the race, so that there is another hope for sanity, for good leadership. I've heard some crazy, far out, dangerous ideas out there today. I mean, Papagan wants to delete the ocean, wants to empty it. Are you out of your mind, man? And that's just one of many. And so I am here because I believe that if the recall goes through, I would be the best candidate. I don't want Caitlyn Jenner to become governor, and there's so many others I don't want to be governor. John Cox, who exploits bears for his commercials, I don't want him to be governor. So yes, I am. It's not disingenuous. I think that if the recall goes through, I should be the governor. And I think the recall effort's really just a bunch of right-wing nuts who they saw an opportunity. They just they know that no Republican at this point is going to become governor unless they can get a plurality through a recall election. They're not going to get the majority in a real election. So what they did is they funded this recall. They lucked out because of the pandemic and people were upset, and confluence of things happened, and that's why it's happening. But so it's because they're opportunists, and I guess we're all opportunists too. But that is why the recall's happening, in my opinion. I guess people disagree with me, and I guess I'll just end it on that. I think if you really care about America, and also I'd like to respond a little bit to Lewis, because he's talking about now Texas seceding in California. Now, I don't know, you guys do the math, but what if you remove Texas and California's electoral college votes? Would that affect the election? Of course. So, and even this last election, I think it was 306 votes to 232. So if you take away California's 55, you still have 241 to 232. And obviously the Texas one is bigger than that gap. And even if it's 241 to 232, if it was that narrow gap, the psychotic QAnon, Trumper, conspiracy theorists would have gone nuts if there's only one state they needed to turn over, and who knows what would have happened. So I think it could have made a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go to Adam, and then we're going to go to Carla. Yes.
I would agree with Dan's assessment of the motivations for the recall. But hey, you know what? That's politics. It is what it is. Here we are now. Gavin Newsom is an elitist millionaire with supervillain hair who can't empathize with others. He's proven that. But my whole thing is Democrat, Republican, it's all just the ruling class and the rest of us. How different is the guy who was mayor of San Francisco going to be than the guy who was mayor of San Diego? Something tells me they run in very similar circles. They value similar things. They have the same way of looking at the world. So I think that, and we're all doing a very good job at this, the power needs to be put in the hands of the people. If you've got no matter how crazy your idea is, you should have a platform to talk about. You should be able to run for office. And so that's why I think the recall is a great thing, because it's giving attention to these alternate perspectives and voices. And like, look, we may not all agree. We've been talking for the last 2.5 hours. We're fine. And you know what? If I win, every one of you has a position in my cabinet.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to go to Carla. Carla, you can give a closing statement. You can also answer the question of what is the nature of the recall? What is the nature of the voters' sentiment behind it? Or you can do the hybrid option, as Dan called it, and merge the two together. Carla L. Canada.
Well, I am one that did. That's okay. Okay. Well, I am one that did not sign the recall petition. I did not sign the recall petition because I do not believe in the death penalty. And I would not affix my name to any document that believes in the death penalty. That is number one. Number two, at the beginning of the lockdown, I contacted people who in the past tried to get Newsom out the minute he was elected. For all the reasons I didn't vote for him. And to see about now is the time, you guys. We're locked down for what? When in life, our lives, has this ever happened in America, let alone California? So now is the time to get him out, but they didn't want to do anything. So I wrote a petition myself and submitted it, got signatures, submitted it to the state of California in regards to him abusing his power, taking not our Second Amendment rights, taking our rights to assemble, closing our churches and governing our churches of any faith. It doesn't matter what faith you are. You should have a right to go to your place of worship and worship the way you want to. And the state decided to accept the petition that went forward and sent me a letter saying, we received 2 petitions and this is the one we picked. So I could have submitted again, but why have 2 petitions? So no, I did not, and I did not push it because I would not push anything with the death penalty on it. And yes, it is truly sad that there are people who sign up to run for governor. This is something I decided on March 6th when I heard Caitlin and I heard Cox and I heard Faulkner, and all of them are rhinos ready to leave it at the hands of who is already taking care of it. And it is not working. We have failed California and everybody around us. And I'm sorry, even if we were to succeed, we would have us with us. We need to learn how to coexist and allow somebody. Why is it I can't go to church because you don't want to? Why is it you have to wear a mask if I don't want to? No, mandate's gone. If you want to wear a mask, please wear a mask. If you don't want to wear a mask, don't wear a mask. Some stores are going to continue to have their masks mandated. It's going to now become store policy. That is fine. Guess what? You get to choose where to spend your money. It should be your choice, not our government's smaller government. Thank you very much for my time.
Thank you, Carla. Okay, we are going to end the debate here. However, candidates can leave. Some people showed they had interest in continuing to discuss with each other. I'm looking at the comments from the public, and the public saying we want more discussion. So the debate is technically over. People can leave. If you as a candidate would like to continue to discuss something, now that all the questions have been here, you certainly have that right. You do not have to stay. I want to give an open field opportunity for anyone to say anything to any other candidate respectfully. And I will continue to feed some public comments in, but this is the end of the debate, and no candidate is required to stay after this point. I want to thank you all for coming out. I would like to point out that this is a series. We want to continue to do this. We want to have you back. And frankly, some of you I wouldn't have known unless people like Nick told me about. So Nick, thank you so much for hooking it up. We wouldn't even had some of these candidates if you didn't say that. And that's what I'd like to offer to all of you. I understand that it was grassroots, and I apologize for the delay with getting everybody on board at the beginning. We lost 15 minutes. That's not okay. It was a waste of your time, and I personally apologize to you. I will point out, though, that I sent that link out 3 times. I tested that 50,000 times. The thing was supposed to work. It wasn't for lack of prep, but technology is what it is. However, please tell other people. We would like to have more of these debates. Please email me any questions you'd like to be asked. My only condition is that if we ask you that question, we will ask everybody else the same question. But you are free to send me questions. You are free to say, like Adam did and Nick did, hey, there's more people that want in. We have found out half the people weren't even aware there were debates. And half the people were responding to this saying, boy, why isn't the media covering this? I don't know. I don't know why the news isn't doing their job. The fact is we are going to probably have a recall election. Yep. The fact is this is the world's 5th largest economy. The fact is that having the largest debate platform with the most amount of candidates is legitimately media worthy, and yet they bothered to not cover any of it. I don't know why that's happening. I can only promise you that at Yes California, we're going to keep doing what we've done for the last 5 years, informing the public of hard facts. We would encourage you to be part of us, send questions, notify other candidates, and be willing to come back yourself. I think the public will be interested, and something tells me the news isn't going to turn around and start doing their job anytime soon. So I'll leave it there. We'll have an open forum. We'll turn it around. You don't have to stay. Thank you, everybody. I'm just going to start asking people questions. Let's go to, thank you, Nick. Just in order, I know there was a debate on elections between Lewis and Dan. I don't know if everybody wants to jump in on that. Or is there another? I'm going to unmute everybody.
Let my people go. Yes, we've
That's
been
right.
freed by our master.
That's my line. That's my line.
Our master has given us our freedom of speech back.
This is open discussion. All I ask is that you're polite and professional. I will not tolerate discourteous behavior. And I'm sorry to say that. Just sometimes I say open discussion and people think they can say whatever. You can look here, I'm loosening the tie. You can be a little more casual. All I'm saying is let's be polite to each other, please, and let's keep to data and facts. Any of the comments anybody would like to say? I know I had to cut you off. Let's just go around the room. Chauncey, is there anything you wanted to cover that you weren't able to, sir?
No, I'll just wait and I'll stay probably for another 20 minutes and then see what people got to say. And if I chime in, I will. I think you did a great job, Sharon, except for that technical difficulty part. Everything, I think, went reasonably well.
I'm sorry about that. I apologize.
That happened, like you said, that happened. So
we really did check it out. I hope you all realize that. We really did. We tested and checked and did this and did, and I don't know what to tell you.
I believe you.
Thanks for coming out, Reverend.
I apologize for.
It's all good. Hey,
I apologize for being late, you guys.
You were California.
I apologize for being late. We had a family emergency.
Hey, I get it.
Glad you were able to make it.
Lewis.
Thank you.
Comments you'd like to cover? I cut you off halfway through. Anything you'd like to say?
Well, I think that in the beginning I didn't fully introduce myself in terms of a lot of my from a personal point of view, I guess. So I would like to, so you all know I am a kindergarten teacher, and that's why I took a position in the middle of our debate about extending universal pre-K to children from the age of 3. I think it's important for children at that age, or even younger if it's possible. I mean, it's possible somewhere, to be able to go to school and socialize and learn how to develop their motor skills at a younger age than 5. And I know that the current governor is working on a plan he calls transitional kindergarten to bring it down to 4, but that doesn't go down far enough. And so as a kindergarten teacher, I take a personal initiative on that particular topic because it's something I care about. And I would like to see California adopt the universal pre-K from the age of 3, and to pair that with another initiative that I'm endorsing and supporting in my campaign, and that is to extend maternity leave in California to 3 years, which would allow newborn children to have 3 years to bond with their mothers, and they would have 3 years of protection from job termination to spend with their children. And then when that 3 years is up, they send their kid to kindergarten, not to daycare, not to a nanny, but to kindergarten to interact with other children. And so that's 3 years of job protection, followed by immediate entrance into kindergarten, where then the parent can go back to work. Now, when I say 3 years of maternity leave for parents, I mean 1 year of it would be paid, and the other 2 of it would be under the protection of, not be having your job be terminated. But I think that's a path that I would like to pursue in terms of education, especially for young Californians, to be able to learn to go into the community and socialize at a young age and develop at a young age. I think it's really important.
We got a response from James Hannick. James?
I agree with you more about the need for serious education early on. What I think we need to avoid, though, is the idea that, of course, the state should control it all. I would much prefer, in looking to develop our educational system, I would much prefer to take the money that the state anticipates planning, maybe double it because that's how much would be actually spent, and directing it to the parents themselves. Now, if the parents say, no, we're not in a position to do this, fine. But I want to begin with the family, the parents themselves. And this is just another application of what we in the American Solidarity Party call the principle of subsidiarity. Sometimes things have to be done big by big political entities. But most of the time, most things that are done ought to be done beginning with the family, then working to the neighborhood, then working to the district, rather than starting with the state of California. Given the general commitments of the state of California and its pathetic position on pro-life questions, I would want to think long and hard before I would turn over the education of my children at that very early level to the state. Okay. And I would want always to allow for some sort of voucher system so that parents could say, well, it's fine that you're doing that, the state. And if some people want to do that, that's fine, the state. But we want to do it, and we want to do it in the context of our home and certainly in the context of our faith community.
Carla has a comment. Carla? Carla, do you have a response?
I would like to respond also.
Yes.
Well, yes, Chauncey, right after Carla. Carla Canada, do you have a response?
Okay. Did you
and
call
then
me?
We'll go to Chauncey Phillips. Yes, Carla Canada, do you have a response?
Yes. As a mother, 3 years sounds wonderful. I've had grandchildren born since it was 1 year, and it was wonderful for my daughter to be able to stay home paid with my grandchild. But my question is, who's going to pay for the next 2 years after the 1 year is paid? it sounds like a recipe for work to welfare. It's going backwards, because after that 1 year that would be paid, if the mother chose to take the next 2 years off, who's going to pay the bills? But
Is that a direct,
definitely we do
is that a
need
question you'd
to.
like to answer, or is that rhetorical?
Well, let's go to
It
Chauncey.
is a question. Who would pay? It is a statement and a question, because that is work to welfare.
Sure. Since it's a direct question,
Somebody's going to
I
have
can
to feed
respond
the
to
mother
it.
for those 2 years.
If it's rhetorical, then I won't respond.
If you let me finish talking, you could respond. Yes.
Okay.
I'll moderate.
Go ahead.
Okay, we're going to go in order. Chauncey said he'd like to respond first. We'll go to Chauncey, then we'll go to Lewis. Chauncey?
Yeah, I would disagree with Lewis. I don't think the children are wards of the state. I think the parents are the ones that make the decision about what's being taught and how and when. And if we look at the dismal education system in California, money is flowing in there, but our kids are learning social stuff. They don't know how to read, write, and arithmetic. They're not learning that. So all other countries are outdoing us in math and science. So a parent, no, not all parents, we know there's some bad parents, but there are always some bad people. They know better what's best for their children, how to teach them. Even homeschooling does better than the public school. And I think this is intentional. The public school wants to indoctrinate, push the parents out of the system and say, we don't care what you think. We're going to teach your kids because no, did you give birth to those children? No. So why are you telling a parent, unless they are harming their children, and a lot of people have survived without education for parents. So I don't agree with that. I don't agree with the 3-year thing. I would probably approve of maybe something a little longer than what they have now. And the husband and wife should be, I would encourage husband and wife marriages and making decisions for their family, rather the government stepping in and making all these decisions that have wrecked society. So we've been telling, and I'll shut up, we've been telling them, we know statistically that a man and a woman in the family, their children do better off than the government getting involved in destroying families, putting the man in jail. He can't produce because he didn't create the baby. The woman got pregnant with sperm on her own. We don't know. So the man, only when there's what's that called when you have to pay the woman for the kid? What I can't remember.
Surrogate.
Yeah, you got to pay. But why does the man got to pay? It's not his body. It's not his. See, so the government messes up stuff. God had it right. A man and a woman should take care of their children, and they should decide when they go to school and what's learned in their school.
Okay. A couple questions directed to Louis Marinelli. Louis Marinelli, your turn to respond.
Okay. I may forget because there was a lot between the two of them, but if I don't answer a question that was particularly of importance, then remind me and I'll answer it. So I'd like to point out that the suggestion that I'm making about kindergarten from 3 years old and maternity leave up to 3 years is not a mandate. I mean, you don't have to not go to work for those 3 years. That's an option. If you're in a position to allow yourself to do that, that option is there. Right now, it's not. You can't take 3 years off if you're in a position to do so in California and have your job be preserved for you. I'm offering that as an option if you're in a position to do that. Not that you have to do that. So that question about is certainly a valid question. Who's going to pay for it? If you're not in a position to do that, then after a year, you go back to work. But that's still much longer than you currently have in California with maternity leave. 1 year of paid maternity leave is longer than we currently have. So
now, is that paid by the corporation or paid by the state? Or who pays that time? And how big a business? Any business? You have one employee, you're going to have to pay for them for a year, and then
I think that we can work out the details with the legislature because I'm running for governor, not dictator. But the point of the matter is that the abstract idea that I believe that parents need to have time to bond with their children longer than that they currently are allowed. America is one of the only countries in the world that doesn't have this type of service, this type of public service. So I think that we should change that. So make that an availability of 1 year paid maternity leave at least. And if you're in a position to go longer, then up to 3 years. And then you can send your kid to university pre-K from there. What was that?
Let's go to Carla.
What is it now?
Oh,
She asked.
sorry. That's
Yes,
what it
please.
is. Yeah, that's what it is now. Is 1 year paid, and unemployment pays it. State disability is who
Are you
pays
saying
it.
are you saying only women get it, or can fathers get it too?
So this isn't
No, actually, men can get it, but
Right.
I forget what the thing is. I forget what it is. But no, my daughter had 1 year off, and it was state disability that paid it.
The taxpayers.
And then the men get a bonding. I think grieving time, maybe grieving should be a little more than 2 days, but yeah.
Yep.
Maybe if we stop telling our girls they don't need it in their home, then
Yep.
they would be able to, and tell our men that they need jobs, and
Yep.
not that a woman can afford them, it's okay. Then
Yeah.
maybe we wouldn't have those problems.
Yep.
If we started teaching our girls, I remember Planned Parenthood, I thought was a wonderful thing when I was a kid. It was because they came to our schools and they taught us responsibility, the type of things our mothers were too scared to say. Oh my God, I can't say that. But, they've turned into something totally different. Google humanized mice and you will find out what more they do with baby fetuses and why we should stop the abortion mill.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I would just like to point out real quick, Marcus, that the California Pregnancy Disability Leave provides for 4 months, and the California Family Rights Act provides for 12 weeks. We're combining California's laws for a variety of different services. You can take up to 7 months. I haven't seen anywhere where it says up to a year. So what we want to do is extend it to at least a year of paid maternity leave, so that mothers can stay home with their children and bond with their newborn children. And if they're in a position to allow that to not go back to work after that, then to continue to stay home and take care of their children until the age of 3, and then send them to preschool.
Okay. Any other comments people would like to make? I had to cut you off to keep people in, but here's an opportunity. We still have a lot of people watching. This will be available to the public. Is there something you felt you needed to say and you wanted to go into more depth? Adam, just going around the room, is there something more you'd like to cover? Something we didn't talk about? An additional statement you'd like? Perhaps a clarification you'd like to make, or an issue you felt needed to be covered and we should talk about?
No, I think my platform speaks for itself, which is mainly just putting a voice to the rest of us. Like, I get a lot of comments on my TikTok that's like, don't waste your money. You're not going to win. Well, that's not the point, because even if you lose, you win, because you learn more about the political process. You get your views out there. You meet other people who you wouldn't normally have met, and you raise your own profile as someone who at least has it together enough to fill out 2 forms and mail them in, and maybe come up with $4,000 to get the filing fee done. So that's really my whole thing, is I just want transparency, not only transparency of government, but transparency as a candidate. Like, what does it take to do this? Which, I don't know. Going into this, I thought there was a website you would have been able to sign up on to start. And no, it's snail mail. Like, my rejection letter, because I did one of the forms wrong, came back with corrections written in pen and highlighted, like it was a teacher grading my paper. That's not the level of professionalism I expect from the 5th largest economy, the most populous state, a state that should be its own country because we have all these resources. So we need to get it together as a state, and then maybe we won't be a laughing stock to the rest of the country.
I'm going to go around the room. You can talk about anything else. Actually, Carla had a comment. Carla?
No, it's okay. Yeah, no, it's okay.
Okay. Professor Hannick had a comment, and then I'd like to get to a question from a reporter, which if you
Yes.
answer is a chance to get in the news. So Professor Hannick, and then we'll go to that question from the reporter.
Yes, one of our problems in California, and it's a problem throughout the United States, is that politics has become a winner-take-all event. And what we need is to recognize serious third parties. There could be no more serious third party than the American Solidarity Party. And one way that we can recognize them is have some sort of proportional representation. It's just possible that we wouldn't have needed a recall had there been proportional representation. There would have been more people represented. There would have been more democracy. There would have been more intelligent debate. And so I want to suggest that we take this notion of getting past the duopoly and having serious parties have proportional representation.
Okay. Here's the question from reporter Diane Herman with the Independent Star Journal. No guarantees, but she's watching and she may want to report on you, and it would be a chance for you to get in the news. So the question is, how would you rescue California from the brink of economic collapse, as Diane puts it, with Californians fleeing the state and all of their assets? We'll go in order. We're going to go in order just like so it's fair. Chauncey Killens, your response, sir.
Yes, thank you. I think first we have to make I guess capitalism, as I know it's a bad word, equitable, where people can go out and work without being overtaxed by the government, because the government takes the money, redistributes it. So I have no say in where it goes. So they become monopolized, they become the power. So if we allow people to work hard, the people that are going to work hard, they're going to succeed because they're working for themselves. They're putting the money in to make it work. The government takes money from people so they don't have to work. So they can go to fine restaurants, not wear masks, because they're still going to make their money. So we have to change the way we're doing and stop suppressing people that are trying to make a living. They have to get loans. They have to save. They have to get loans from their house to keep themselves afloat in the economy that continues to go up. And the Democrat politicians are constantly saying, we want to redistribute your money because we know how to spend it better than you. That is a plan for disaster, and we see. And if we bring equity back and allow businesses to have a right to work and maintain a majority of their money, they will stay. They will hire people. They will not have to pay high prices for gas, for food, for vehicles, for houses, for lumber. This is why people are leaving, because they're saying the politicians do not care about us. We protest, we write them letters, we call them, they just ignore us because they have become the gods of California. And no matter what you say, if they don't like it, they turn against you. I will stop that as governor of California. Thank you very much.
Louis Marinelli.
Yes, I think that, my approach towards this problem is very simple. I think that when you look at all the problems in California, these are the things that people are leaving the state because of. And you don't have to go down the list. We know what California's problems are. And that's the reason why people are leaving the state. So what are we going to do about it? We have to address the problem. Not the individual problems which they're leaving because of, but because of the overarching problem. And that overarching problem is one-party rule in Sacramento. And because of that, because it's, frankly speaking, all of the problems that California has, because of which people are leaving, by the way, can only be blamed on the Democratic Party. They're the only ones in power for decades.
Yep.
So there's no way to say the Republicans did this, Republicans did that, Republicans did that. No, they didn't. And I'm not a Republican, so I'm not defending the Republican Party. They have their own problems. The fact of the matter is the Democrats have been super majority control of legislation now in Sacramento, and they've had Democratic majority for decades. So we need to address that problem. We need to get coalition governments. This goes into what another candidate was speaking about moments ago with proportional representation. We need to change the way that elections are held in California so that we can have more than just two parties running, more than just the Democrats and Republicans, because a lot of people don't like the Republican Party, and rightfully so. That's why they're leaving the Republican Party and registering as no party preference. I believe that Adam is a no party preference candidate, for example. So that's what I would like to do. I'd like to change the way that the government works so that we don't have one party system in Sacramento. And then if we have more than one party in Sacramento, we have the Green Party represented, the Republican Party, the Constitutional Party, the Democratic Party, the Liberal Party, whatever, the Solidarity Party in there too. Then everybody can feel represented. And no one party can just ram through its legislation and scare everybody out who disagrees with it. So I think that fundamental change to our election system would make it possible to fix so many other problems in California when it comes to what's pushing people to leave this state.
Adam. Sorry. You need to unmute.
Yes, I said
You're unmuted.
The cost of living is just too high in California. It's a large part of that is a supply and demand issue. But also, there's this notion that these problems are just too complicated to solve. No one's ever going to figure it out. I think that maybe if we just spent the money to do some of these things, they could get solved. And where's that money going to come from, Adam? Well, I want to raise taxes, but not on working people, not on homeowners, not even on millionaires. I think all we need to do is levy a substantial tax on billionaires. Billionaires have most of the money. Billionaires have more money than the rest of us combined. They have more money than they know what to do with. Jeff Bezos owns a house in Los Angeles that costs $150 million. You could buy 100 really nice houses for that. It's crazy. If we take their money, put it into building more housing for the rest of us, building, fire prevention, desalinization, take your pick of all the different things this surplus of money can happen. We just need to get it from the billionaires.
Okay. Carla, what is your response?
Yes. I'm sorry, what was the question?
What would you do to rescue California from the brink of economic collapse, with Californians fleeing the state with all of their assets?
Well, number one, I would open the state. All of our jobs are essential. All of our jobs feed our families, and we need to open the state. And we know how to live. We know how to take care of. We know how not to cough on each other. Stay home when you're sick. The whole 9 yards. But the sad part is California gives how much money to people not to work? We would have to wean half of the unemployment, or actually everybody who is on unemployment, off of unemployment. I would give them a month. There are plenty of jobs out there. And if you are not actively, California has a website and has had it for years, Cal Jobs. If you are not actively looking for work, there is no reason to keep paying you. And so I believe that is one. And the other is taxation without representation. We are being taxed to death. Half of what we pay in gas is taxation. Let's see, where is the money going? Some things do need to be cut. And some things we're paying for and there is no service. It's like X amount of dollars goes to, well, what came this way? Oh, well, nothing. It was just a purchase order. Well, what did that purchase order go to? I don't know. We would take care of the majority of that. There are a lot of problems. There are a lot of solutions, but we must come together as Californians, red and blue. There is Republicans, Democrats, Independents, Green. We are all here, and it is all of our problems. If we haven't tried to do anything about it, it's part of our problem. And we need to come together. That's why I want to turn California purple. Turn California purple. Let's all come together and unite. Thank you.
Professor Hennick, how would you rescue California from the mass hordes fleeing the state?
Well, looking at Diane Herman's question, which is, of course, directly related to yours, the first thing I'd want to say is we're not this year, probably not next year, on the brink of economic collapse. But what we do have is a kind of chronic economic disorientation. And the fundamental direction we need to take is towards economic democracy. Economic democracy. Now, what does that mean? It means that we have to develop and promote more ownership. There ought to be many more people who really have ownership, beginning with ownership of their own homes. There should be many more workers who have a fundamental say in the direction of the companies for which they work. Executive boards ought to include workers. Workers do most of the work. What happens is the work gets alienated and it gets trivialized and it gets divorced from the people who are actually doing the work. I think that there's a name. No, I know there's a name for this. Homework, teachers give homework, right? Google distributism. It's the economic model that animates the American Solidarity Party. We're neither capitalists nor socialists. What we want to say is that ownership should be as widely distributed as possible to give people the capacity to develop their potential. And that ownership should be guided by the common good, not the state and not the savage capitalism, but rather the common good. And the beginning of the common good, and this is where the emergency comes into play. The beginning of working for the common good is the principle of solidarity. And what the principle of solidarity says is the first measure of justice in any state is how it treats the most vulnerable. That's where we must begin.
Yeah, I think it was Sartre, one of the French philosophers of the 1950s, who said that. Dan, how do we stop the mass fleeing and the destruction of the California economy?
Well, first of all, I don't think we are on the brink of economic collapse. And also,
what?
I don't think that people are fleeing as much as, I think that's totally exaggerated. They say that people are moving within California much more than fleeing to other states. And who cares? They want to go to another state, let them. I mean, I agree with Mr. Papagan that, we need to work on lowering the rents and to try to, that's why a lot of people are leaving. But if you want to get more people, and I haven't even talked about immigration, we need us to get rid of the border. Get rid of all borders. Why do we need borders? Let people come here if they want. Why do jump through? We spend millions and millions of dollars to enforce immigration. We could use that money much better, and people come here actually add to society and add finance, economics to California. So if you're really worried about people fleeing, then we need to just open the borders. Thank you.
Any other comments to what any candidate said in response to this question?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment.
Yes, please. Please, sir.
I cannot remember everyone's name, but
that's fine.
I think with the last response, I would say, do you have opening the borders? Do you leave your door open?
Yeah, come on in. Come on in, man. Come on in.
At your gate, and do you let people just eat your food and you go to work and pay for them? They sleep in your bed and take a shower and you pay for it because you're about loving everybody. Every country has borders. And if you don't have your own, there's water to keep you. You lock your doors. I bet you don't leave it, and you might have a fence. And then with the billionaires, I'm not opposed to people getting rich. If they have the ingenuity to become wealthy, why should you take their money and give it to folks that don't want to work? You're enabling them. And I'm saying stealing something from other people giving it to other people, you're a thief. So either we have to make laws that would say if a billionaire is doing, and I know some of them aren't just. The problem with our society is morals. We live in what I call a condition aletheiophobic. We are aletheiophobic. That's two words. Most people are familiar with phobia, phobic, fear. Aletheia is a Greek word that says truth. We are afraid of truth, not because we don't know truth, but because the elite, the media suppresses truth. And if you say something different than them because they don't agree with you, that's the problem. So we have people in powerful positions that are raping our children, aborting our children, gun violence in school, everywhere we're having problems. It's because we've told people God does not exist. You are a piece of dirt. You are nobody. You're a speck. And then when somebody kills somebody, we get all upset. I said, now we're teaching people there's no such thing as scientific truth. Boys can be girls. So when I tell people I'm a white lesbian, they'll say, you can't be a white. Why not? If you can identify as a boy or as a girl, don't make a joke of this. No, if you can identify, and I am a proud card-carrying white supremacist. Because if they could decide by definition, redefining terms, redefining math, redefining science, redefining what COVID is, this is hurting us. We need people with moral principles, people that'll tell the truth, people will be transparent, and that'll stop all this stuff.
Okay, all right. Dan, the question was directed to you. You have the right to respond.
Oh, yes. I mean, I don't think it's actually similar, but you're welcome to come to my house anytime. I don't know your name, but yeah, I mean, letting people into your country is not exactly the same as letting them in your home. But why, if you believe in God, why do you worship these man-made borders? Those aren't God-made borders. It's just an illusion, man. And if you're into truth, you said you thought Trump won the election in 2020. I don't know if you. I think you have whatever that word is, phobia. But anyway, I'll just.
Well, am I to answer that since he's talking specifically to me?
Yes, I would ask everybody. Let's keep it PG. But yes, the question is now to Chauncey Killens about the accuracy of the election and his quest for truth and the accuracy of that philosophical concept. Chauncey Killens.
Excuse me, which way is the pier? Okay, so down and this way. Is it full?
Because people live in a state. People live in a state. That's their home. California is my home. And I have a building in this home. I don't let anybody come in. And to separate that seems nonsensical. And there is a thing called truth. You're even promoting the things that you believe is true. And I'm saying you have a right to your voice, but people that disagree. So the media is taking people off the air. They stole this election. That's why I'm wearing this shirt. They stole this election, and I hope it comes out. So if everybody has their truth, there shouldn't be any problem, because your truth is just as we talked about a 2-hour debate here. Well, it's went over. No, it's still 2 hours. See, you can't change things because you decide it is. And God believes in what is just. And people breaking it, there are millions of people that are obeying the law to get in this country. The Democrats won't let them in. They're letting illegals. Then they get offended when you call them illegals. Well, they're breaking the law. And we say you don't have a right. They're letting Gavin Newsom, I think, let 75,000 inmates out for COVID reason, but he's gonna make you wear a mask and lock you up, close your church down. I was at the Capitol on January 6th. The media lied. I was about 100 feet from the door. The media lied. There were about 10,000 people there. You know what? Of all the people, 250,000 people that gathered there in DC, you know what? Not one police car was burned. Not one ATM machine was blown up. Not one building was raided or destroyed or burned on fire. but we are angry white supremacists. But yet for 6 months in Portland, Oregon, and in Seattle, Washington, they blew up the place, and the Democratic said, these are peaceful protesters. This is hypocrisy and evil and wicked. That's why I'm a fix it.
Okay, Dan, to you, however you would like to respond.
I think that people did go into a building on January 6th, if I'm not mistaken. I think people were killed, so I'm not sure what you're talking about. But, I support your right as a white lesbian, and I think that's great. And I think that's great.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, that's all I had to say. But
yeah,
I'll Chauncey to respond, if I may.
Okay.
This is a political debate where potential voters are watching to determine how you will stand on political issues. Please be aware of that as you respond. Chauncey Killens.
Yeah, I'm saying, see, he knows I'm not a white lesbian. See, so if science is not true, if they're redefining everything, but I don't have a right. I even went to the state capitol. I went into the ladies' bathroom. 2 women told me, because they opposed to my position, I said, well, I identify as a white lesbian. They had 3 police officers come out waiting for me. So we had a long talk. I said, if you're going to let a man believe he's a woman can go in the bathrooms, women's bathrooms, why don't you apply those rules here at this state capitol? So it's this nonsense. And I'm saying that's why we're taking our kids out of these schools, because parents don't have a right to decide what's being taught. We want our kids to be taught reading, writing, arithmetic, science. You don't need to teach them all this other social stuff. Let the parents do that. They're their children. Since you're for everybody has a right, the media takes conservatives off the media, calling it misinformation. Well, I think a boy being a girl would be misinformation, but today that is the truth. And I'm saying I will never accept non-truth. I will accept a person that has a right to believe that non-truth, but I will never accept any law that supports something that's so ludicrous. Remember, blacks were inferior to whites because they had they had pseudoscience to support that. Now you're supporting pseudoscience.
Thank you. Dan, unless you have a really strong point, Carla wanted to ask a question.
That's okay. I don't support pseudoscience, but go ahead.
Okay. Carla. You are unmuted.
I typed it. Oh, okay. The question is, if you guys were elected, whoever wants to answer, if you were elected, would you authorize an audit of the 2020 election? Why or why not?
That's a good question.
Great question. Who are you asking? Me?
I go to everybody. So
Anybody who wants to answer.
Well, they are already auditing it in Arizona. Several states are already gradually. I think we'll know something by the end of June in Arizona. Right. They took 2.1 million
but would
ballots.
You do it?
I would do it. Yes, I would do it.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought it was a question about auditing the California government. So let me repeat myself. This is a debate
the presidential
for the governorship
election
of California. If we can keep questions to things the California governor would be able to do, which this is not one. People are watching. I want to make sure they're here for that info. So if we have questions about being California governor or policies the California governor could enact, I would appreciate if we could keep the dialogue limited to that.
Okay. My bad.
So does that mean the California governor cannot audit the California election process?
As I understand,
I don't believe that's true. The governor changed the way we voted 1 month before we voted. So I don't. Yeah, we should be able to, even if nothing but executive order an audit of the 20 elections in California.
Marcus, if I can say there that the elections are run by states, So each state has its own election
That's
laws
right.
and processes. And so a governor would, in a particular state, have the ability to at least call upon or influence some kind of audit. That's why you have Trump crying about the governor of Georgia. I personally wouldn't audit California because I don't think there's any question about who won California. I think if we were running for governor in a state where it was a closer result, then maybe there would be a discussion there, at least theoretically. But there's no question that Joe Biden won California, even if it was the fairest election with 0% fraud and 0% double signatures and so on and so forth. He still won. So I don't think it's worth it in California. But I'll let the other candidates answer about how they feel about that.
I agree with Lewis. Yeah, what's the point? Obviously, Biden won California. I don't know what the numbers were, but it'd be a waste of money and time to audit the California's election results.
And I would let the people decide.
You know what would happen? Let's say California turned out we voted for Trump. Then what would you do?
Well, we got to
Live
figure
my
that
life
out.
like I'm living
Okay.
it now.
Okay, I'm going to make one last
I
request.
would take off the mask when I walked in the store.
Okay.
I would take off the mask when I wanted to go feed my family instead of having to put on what did the one security guard tell me, to cover my face? Excuse me, cover my face? This isn't
I'm
a
gonna end
Muslim
the debate.
country. Why would I cover
Okay.
my face?
Thank you all. We're going to
Thank
end
you.
it here. Thank you all for coming out. Really appreciate it. Series of debates. Please send questions for future debates. Please tell other registered candidates about this debate. I hope that you saw that we were at least honest and tried to persevere to make sure that you were able to present yourself in an unedited fashion. I hope you see that we did that.
You
Did
did
a
that.
great job.
Yes,
Did a great
thank you.
job.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Will
you.
this remain on your website?
This will go on to the
Will
Yes
this
California
remain on the
YouTube.
YouTube?
Yes, it will be.
Oh,
We're also
cool.
going to put some advertising into
And
this.
we
want
can
to try
share
to
it
get
with people. We can share it with others.
Yeah, I will email out a link of the actual video on the
Okay.
Yes California YouTube channel to all the candidates. It'll take me a few hours
thank you.
because we have
That's
to end the
fine.
show and then it processes. But tonight, tomorrow, every single candidate will get basically a request to tell people about the next debate, to agree to participate, questions you may have, and a link to this video to showcase it. I understand there were some hiccups, but I think we did a great job. The fact is that
Yeah.
Yes,
think
you
people
did.
heard from multiple candidates, and you all got to say exactly what you wanted. I mean,
Yes.
the voters heard
Yeah.
10 people say what they thought, 10 different people, and you get an insight into them that's just not being provided by the mainstream media. I was privileged to come this.
I had a question. Can anybody else watch this while it's live? How do you?
Yes.
If you want,
So you're on StreamYard, but StreamYard is connected to the Yes California YouTube channel. So you are watching this on StreamYard at the same time it's being broadcast on the Yes California YouTube channel. The
So they
final
can just-
video will be on the Yes
they can
California
just open that
YouTube
up
channel.
and see it live.
Yes. And that all
Okay.
the comments
Okay.
that you saw feeding in, that was the people at the Yes California YouTube who
Okay.
were typing in comments and we were feeding it in. The reason we do that is StreamYard allows about 10 people to participate. Well, but we can feed the comments in from like 600 people. So
Okay.
it allows us to have the candidates view. Also, I'm able to control the studio. Everybody behave, but hey, sometimes people don't, right? So
Yeah.
with StreamYard, it allows me to go, please behave, mute. So that's why we had 10 candidates, but we streamed it to our Yes California YouTube, which allows an unlimited amount of people to watch. They
Okay.
can comment. The comments get fed right into StreamYard. So I hope you saw I was constantly feeding in the public comments. That was not for me. That was Jane Q. Randomo.
Mm-hmm.
Said,
I think
"Here's
Lewis
what I
had
think."
some questions thrown
Great.
out.
Great.
Yeah.
You did a great job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great job. Great
Y'all
job.
did great.
I'll be
And,
on the next one. I'll be for the
Dan
next.
got the first set of glasses. Glasses like that are going to be shipped to everybody as a thank you from Yes California for participating. Dan, thanks for sporting those Yes California glasses. Appreciate it. All of you are Californians, and that's why you're beautiful human beings in my eye. And we'll leave it there.
Yeah, but Lewis, I don't think lives in California.
Oh, Lewis is in California, though. world residency and he's a citizen. Louis,
Well,
last minute
I
comment?
knew that we wouldn't be able to go 3 hours and 23 minutes without reference to the country of Russia. But
I didn't mention that. I thought you were in New York. I thought you lived in New York.
well, I am a resident of the state of California. I'm registered to vote in California. I pay my taxes and file my taxes in California. I happen to be outside of its borders. You don't like borders, but if you don't like borders,
You're
it
in
shouldn't matter if I'm
California.
in Russia
Damn.
or if I'm in Los Angeles, because it's all one planet, right?
Damn.
Well, yeah, one universe. I want California to go to Mars.
We're all Californians
Well,
here.
we're
We
talking about
traveled.
There
seceding
are
from the
some
United
Martians
States. You're
here.
talking about seceding from the Earth.
There are some Martians.
No,
in
I'm
this-
talking about taking the Earth, taking the Mars to California.
Oh,
Adding.
okay. I'll give you a Mars bar. I'll give you a Mars bar. How about that?
There you go. That'll get you there.
Thank
All
you
right.
all.
I enjoyed myself. Thank you very much. I'm going to sign off.
Okay.
So, thank you very much.
All right, me too.